Always. Hey,
Always.
we are back live. This is the Tailgate Talk After Hours show. Look at me sounding all official and everything.
Jeez, it's like
Uh,
you're a professional, Chad.
well, I have done this time too, but I thought I'm gonna try actually being halfway professional. Then I can't talk. But uh, Aaron Harmon has stepped away to get a drink of water. I didn't realize that he was actually. I knew he said he was feeling under the weather the last couple of days, but I didn't realize he was had strep throat, and he still came on here for me. So we appreciate
Oh,
that,
damn.
Aaron.
No problem.
Did you try
And
gargling salt water?
I've done that. I'm on amoxicillin. I've got everything else. I just.
then we've also got Blake with Bad Tree Productions over here at the BTP headquarters, I assume.
Yes, sir. That's where
Sean,
we're at.
Sean left a comment already and asked what took us so long. Honestly, Sean, we just didn't start the live feed because we were talking crap about you before we turned it on. So
Yeah.
we've been here.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing Mopar stuff.
Me?
Sam Fisher's back. Yeah, you.
No.
No.
We're all Chevy over here, man.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we all have Chevy alternators.
Yeah.
My phone keeps like darkening if I don't touch the screen. I don't get that. I've never had that before in StreamYard.
Go to your settings, and it'll have a timer for when it blackens your phone, and you can change it to "Don't do it."
Don't do it.
Your display settings somewhere.
You're trying to. Damn it!
I can have this.
Once I start doing something, then I'll just mess everything up. It'll be all right. We'll make it work.
Sam's got jokes.
Any rear enders here? I'm gonna let Aaron take that since he's our guest.
Yes.
I didn't actually rear end him. He just backed up into me really fast.
Oh. I'd say Blake's been doing rear end stuff. I know that, and
I don't. That was one of those things. I was just minding my own business, driving 70 down the highway. I don't know why he stopped.
man. Yeah, that was a rough deal. I remember, you said we met up at one of the stops on the poker run, and you come to we started visiting, and I guess that was our first time actually having a conversation. Then you told me you wrecked. Well, you didn't wreck the truck got wrecked, and it's like, dang, Then I got to see the truck at the venue, but you had it all dolled up. It was.
Well,
you done good with the bad situation. That's what I've always said with YouTube. This wasn't necessarily a failure, but our failures make good content for our viewers.
Honestly, I'll never say I'm glad the truck got wrecked. And
no,
like I told everybody at the show was going, "Oh man, that had to crush you." Well, I turned 41 the other day. I stopped crying about 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff happens. You pinch it off and deal with it. You know what I mean? So
wait, are you the guy that had the truck that got hit by that Dodge Ram?
No.
Oh, okay. That was at that truck gathering.
That was my truck was wrecked at the truck gathering, but I had a F-250 back into me on the highway at 70 miles an hour. So
I think the truck you're talking about, Blake, was in the parking lot.
That was inside in the show, inside in a building.
Oh.
Yeah,
you talking about the maroon one with the whole front end caved in?
I don't think so. It was some kind of Chevy. It was slammed in the weeds. There was a bunch of lowrider trucks in there, and then a guy with a Dodge Ram on sock suspension goes to leave and he can't see all these short little trucks over his hood, and he just boom right in the side of it.
No. Mine got wrecked before.
All right, I'm back.
Quick
There's a
reply
hippie.
from First hour would like to know why you like 305 so much. Could help me with my Vortec. I'm not saying I like the Vortec 305s. I mean, they're not that they're any worse than not that there's much difference, but the reason I like 305 so much is because they'll spin a lot more RPM than a 350 will.
Thank you.
And
Nobody believes me.
They will take a lot more abuse.
Yes.
I built a 305 for my nephew and put it in his first truck. He was like 17 years old, and he had a patch of ice in that thing and spun it like $9,000.
Right. Yeah, a Briggs and Stratton takes a lot of abuse too because it makes 9 horsepower.
Hey,
you weren't in here when I told Blake, let's keep it civil for at least the first 20-30 minutes.
Hey.
And then you come in here.
I had to go talk. I had to go talk to my oldest boy. He got in trouble at school for making a gun finger.
Oh, for being like his dad and just coming in and destroying stuff.
Right.
Destroying our 305 talk.
Yeah, no, my boy was doing gun fingers at school and got suspended. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all fucking voted for it.
Beep. Yeah, I remember taking my 22 to school to learn about gun safety, but whatever.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in grade school, if you had beef with another kid, the teachers would throw you out in the hallway and tell you to work it out.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They don't do that anymore.
Or the teacher would slap you out. I remember getting grabbed by the throat up against the wall and your feet not being on the ground anymore.
I can tell you one thing. The school that my kids go to, we have to sign a waiver at the beginning of the school year that says it's acceptable for them to paddle them if they see fit.
Hell yeah!
Yes.
We're moving.
I sign it.
What's your town?
Every year.
Zip code?
Yeah.
And there's
sign it twice.
There's been 2 instances where the vice principal thought my kid deserved a paddle, and he called me and asked me if it was okay, and I said, if you see fit, carry on.
Yep.
And he was so embarrassed by it that I guarantee you that kid will never get in trouble at school again.
Yep.
That's the point.
It's
called accountability.
If you got your comeuppance.
It wasn't even so much the whooping; it was the fact that he had to go back to class with a sore butt afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
All his buddies knew too. Yeah.
Yep. So,
around and find out.
I'm not against paddling in schools at all. I think it's good for them.
And since we're doing the trash talking,
too while you're at it.
Because if the teachers are doing it to them at school, then CPS can't come take them away for me if I do it to them at home.
Well, we're in one of the largest big buck counties in the Midwest, and my kid gets in trouble for making a finger gun. And we're all deer hunters, so riddle me that, Batman. Anyways, 305. Let's hear it.
Yeah,
the board attack.
So we kind of mentioned the idea of F around and find out. I think some people are going to find out what a 305 will do.
There you go.
Dude, I can't wait, man.
And it's got a turbo 400 behind it, I bet.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Got to keep it interesting, because if by chance this truck ever beats anybody, it's going to be one thing they got beat by a 305 with a stroker crank in it. It's going to be another thing got beat by a 305 with a stroker crank and a grainy low 4-speed.
Yeah, leave it in 4th gear.
You're banging gear in that son of a bitch? Jesus.
Yeah. No, I'll have to start launching in a second. But back to the 305 thing.
What clutch do you run that thing then?
It's a McLeod something or other. It's a good McCoy clutch.
Like
Button
one
clutch.
of them thick, like one of them puck ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
them 6-pucks are where it's at.
yeah. It's similar to what I used to run truck pulling. They actually like to slip a little bit. I'm not going to consider them a slipper clutch, but if they slip a little bit, they get sticky and then hold.
Then they bite. Okay. And you got what do you got in that rear end of that truck is that's like a full float or like a 10.5 ring gear or something in that thing?
Yeah, it's a 14 bolt corporate, 10.5 inch ring gear.
That's two
It's a
more
3/4
bolts
ton
than
rear end, 8 lugs.
Yep. Yeah, I remember it was full floater. Yeah.
God damn it.
That's fucking sweet, dude.
488 gears. It's welded.
Oh, is that all 48s?
Yeah.
Jesus.
When you put the dualies on, she'd almost hop a Coke can, I bet. God dang it.
You could come over here, son. I've been trying to push my truck down the hill for like 10 minutes. No. You can start it up and leave if you need to leave.
I was just rewatching the sightseeing videos, and when he rolled up with the
Hold on,
dually,
guys.
I'm like,
Hold on, guys.
Dualies.
Chad had a pretty wicked
Guys,
burn
are
out.
talking?
So what's your channel called?
Harmon Garage.
Armin Garage?
Harmon Garage, yeah.
Well, nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
We're just two hayseeds in northeast Iowa, surrounded by a whole lot of nothing.
What
Other than a
part of
bunch
Iowa?
of northeast corner, it's called McGregor.
Oh, okay.
If you heard of Dubuque, we're an hour north of that.
Yeah, I actually grew up in northern Illinois. So and my
He's a fib.
my mom and her whole family are from north central Iowa. So
Oh, okay.
they're
Like
where
Mason City?
you know where Esterville?
No, what's another town by it?
You know where Fairmont, Minnesota is?
I know where Harmony and Preston, Minnesota is.
No, there's I don't remember a lot of the towns around there
Like Clear Lake or
probably the biggest town that's by them. They're literally like dead center Iowa, 9 miles from the Wisconsin or the Minnesota border. So
like Mason City?
no. They're way over by like Clear Lake.
Oh.
by what?
Like Clear Lake.
I don't know. Esterville, Armstrong. I don't know. I can't think of any other little towns. It's all a bunch of little towns. Like there ain't no cities around there.
Oh yeah. I know where you're at. Yeah, I used to run around there.
One.
That
Yeah.
sounds like Iowa.
What's
Or
that?
Minnesota. That sounds like Iowa, Minnesota. A bunch of little towns of 800 people sprinkled across the whole state.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so the town that my mom's actually from is so small that they've got like 3 counties that go to the same high school.
Jeepers.
So.
Well, the chats.
Oh, the dots. Your thing keeps
Spirit
going dim.
Lake. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps doing that.
That's close to where they're. That's probably another bigger city that's by there. So.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, we don't really travel into Iowa very often. Besides the drag strip is about 45 minutes into Iowa. We're like 30 seconds into Iowa where we're at. Don't it seem like we go to Wisconsin a hell of a lot more
every day?
Yeah. If we go to like swap meets and stuff, like Jefferson, Wisconsin is a huge swap meet that we used to go to.
Where I grew up, and I grew up 5 miles from the Wisconsin border in Illinois, over on the Lake Michigan side. But I went to Jefferson every year for probably 10 years. I mean, it was only an hour and a half maybe from where I'm from.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
And I'm guessing it probably rained in April and October like a damn watch, man.
Oh yeah, if you didn't wear hip waders, you didn't go to Jefferson.
Yeah, muddy mess. And try being a Mopar guy. You walked probably 15 miles through Jefferson, right? Easy. If you do it
What's a Mopar?
twice. Huh?
What's a Mopar?
Exactly. That's what they say there in Jefferson. You find the two people that have stuff, and it's like way overpriced.
What's a Mopar?
And then you got J-Bo ends up buying a freaking typewriter.
It's a Mopar. It's like a 306.
Yeah. It's like a 305, but better.
Plus one.
It's like a factory drag car that had a slant fix in it. You just have to put all the, go fast stuff in
All
it.
stuff.
I've got some respect for Mopars. If you got $50,000 to build a crap motor and they're in somebody else's garage.
Yeah.
I remember where'd Chevrolet come from? I don't even think that guy was American. Huh, kind of funny.
Come on now.
Heartbeat of where? France?
I don't know. I wasn't alive then.
Oh, who's this now?
They all got their pros and cons.
Yeah.
The con is that NASCAR and NHRA kept, put their foot on our throats so you guys could keep catching back up.
Jesus.
Yeah. That don't even work anymore because now they don't even have all the NASCAR stuff's cross-gendered too.
Yeah, and all the NHRA stuff's just Mopar with Toyota badge on it, or a Ford or a Chevy.
I'm sitting there and Snapchat of Lou eating grass. He's like, they do it for gut health. I might give it a try.
There's a storm coming.
Yeah.
Well, I seem to be having testicular difficulties with my connection here. I don't want to embarrass Chad by saying anything that we shouldn't say on his live about how Mopars are so awesome.
They're not.
They cost a lot. They're always broke.
They're always broke.
And
mean,
honestly, that what you just said is probably part of the reason that I never got into them because I know they're expensive and I ain't got no money. So
Me neither, brother. Me neither.
Yeah, we ain't got any money either, man.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
They made some cool looking cars back in the late 60s and early 70s, but after that, I don't care for any of them. So.
Yeah.
I don't really care for any car made after the 70s, to be honest.
My kids are going to public school, and then after that, they're probably shingling houses because they ain't going to fun college.
Mine can go to college. They just got to get their own loans and pay for them themselves.
I told Aaliyah she can go to school as long as it's a trade school.
There you go.
So, hey, actually, my fiance just graduated college yesterday with a business and finance degree. So I don't have to hear about that anymore. Now, after the COVID
Now she can
thing,
buy more parts for you.
I know she can get a really good job. Buy me a bunch of Mopar parts that are overpriced.
You just keep laying the pipe, man. She'll fucking buy them.
Yeah. See, we're doing what we're not supposed to.
Oh, sorry.
This is why Chad doesn't let us in.
I'm leaving.
Chad was telling me before the first live started that he worked a double shift and been awake for like 25 hours. I guess he walked away and fell asleep or something.
It seems like that. I think I got enough battery here. I'll show our other money pit. So this is mine right here. This is our 68 big block dart. It's 8-point cage. 28-10-5, 410, stroked, ported, bunch of junk. And then we got Jeremy's car over here is a 402. It was a 360. And
Jeremy,
most of the time it's a 408 stroker, but Jeremy kept the factory bore size.
room to grow.
And Jeremy's is like show car quality, dude.
No, it's not.
It is. Zip it. This is the best part.
Where are you guys at? It's a lot lighter out there than it is here.
Northeast Iowa.
Oh, that's right. You said that. And
Yeah. I mean, well, you can't see, but the interior is immaculate. He bought this from a little old lady for $3,000 13 years ago. Had a slant six in it. He's whittled it. The first time I went to the track, it ran like a 19, and he's got it all the way, 19.8 with the slant six, and now he's got it all the way down to 1240s.
12.0.
Yeah, 12.40. And then we put 391s in it yesterday, and it had 323s in it. So, I just rebuilt this center section today. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's a lot of money. A lot of money going out, not much coming in. But
yeah.
well, my phone just keeps messing up, man, and it's about to die. It was nice talking to you. Chat. Nice seeing you guys again. And there it goes. It just shuts off. So we'll be in the chat later. It was nice meeting you, sir.
All right. Yep. Have a good one.
You too.
Hopefully,
Ciao
Chad,
for now.
hopefully Chad will wake up and come back at some point.
No shit. Come on, Chad. Later.
All right, guys. You want to talk to me about anything? Go ahead and throw the comments up there, because otherwise you're just going to sit here and look at me because I don't know what else to say. Rental car. Sold the truck, got a rental car, drove her back, and got about 40 miles to the gallon with the rental car when I only got 15 with the truck, so it kind of saved me money in the long run. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think Chad fell asleep. Yeah, the burnout truck's on the block, but kind of like Rum Runner or anything else, it's mine. So got to work on it when I have money, which could be now, could be later, could be never. No, I just got the motor done. I'm sure you saw that, and I've made some changes in direction because of some other decisions I made about other vehicles I had lined up. So it's going to get a lot more stuffed. Never named it Nomac. No, I haven't. I actually did come up with a name for it, but I haven't mentioned it to nobody yet. So, and it's probably a long explanation. Next project, burnout truck will be there when I can. And other than that, I've got some work I got to do on RJ. I've got another C10 I got to do some stuff on, and I actually got a international scout coming in that's going to be pretty cool here pretty soon. So Mrs. Square Body, you still on here? Truck vortex, keep passes until 350 vortex spot. Maybe intake exhaust tune to get me by. I'd just leave the 305 alone. I mean, honestly, you could change the intake and exhaust and tune and all that, and you could use all those parts once you swap it to the 350. But oh, Mrs. Square Body, can you walk out in the yard and kick Chad and tell him to wake up and come back on the video, please? What was I saying? Oh yeah, 305. If you whatever parts you buy for the 305, you could in turn use for the 350 when you decide to go with it. But if you're going to go out, I mean, for what parts cost, keep in mind, this is my opinion. This isn't, I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. And, you know, lightning didn't strike me and make me great or anything. But my opinion, by the time you spend all that money to do all that to that 305, you might as well just took the same money and go get the 350. And for the amount of work it'd take to do all that stuff to that 305, you could swap the motor. Being that they're Vortec 98s, you don't have to really change the computer, nothing. You pull the 305 out, stick a 350 in, let it do its thing. So me personally, I'd build the 305 and not do a 350 swap, but that's just me. I mean, you do a cam and heads and intake and headers and stuff on that 305, you'll have a good running little motor, but that's just my opinion. So, Sam, is your channel keeping your head above water? I guess you could say that. I'm able to keep doing it is all I can say. So, Jeff, truck gathering is going to be in Guthrie in April 19th and 20th. It's a 2-day event this time instead of a 1-day event. And it's going to be at a big park on grass instead of a concrete or a asphalted parking lot. And I'm hoping that it doesn't have 80-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
And I have a 68, 69 K5 Blazer that I've acquired recently that I haven't shown anybody yet. And if you're on here, don't tell anybody else that's not on here about it, because I wanted it to be a surprise on the channel, but I still got to dig it out of the woods. When I get it out of the woods, it'll be on the channel. So, but that's my plan for that to be my build to take to the show next year. But I don't know. I might not take anything because it's an awful lot of work to do to wreck something. So.
I'm going to move my chair to the other side of the table to where, or I guess if it matters to anybody if you can't see my face.
Oh, we can see you.
Okay. So I apologize for my little hiatus there. My son, he'd been kind of waiting to talk to me for a minute while we're on the other live, because I picked to be a grandpa again, and he's letting me know that they're going to the hospital tomorrow to induce labor and all that stuff. So I had to visit with him for a minute. So I appreciate you guys.
Congratulations,
Aaron holding down the fort. Yeah, thank you.
I was joking around. I was joking around with them, and I was telling them that you were telling me earlier that you just worked a double shift. You'd been up 25 hours. I said he probably went to go relieve himself next to the garage and fell over and passed out. So
no, I was talking with my son, and of course he's like me. He can just start talking, and we end up on rabbit trails, and then Mrs. Square Body hollered out the door, "Hey, everybody's wondering where you're at on the live." I'm like, oh, I didn't forget. I was. That's the way it goes. This is live. That's how it happens.
I was joking with her. I said, "Hey, are you still on here?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Walk out in the yard and kick Chad, wake him up, get him back over here." So.
Yeah. Yes, sir. he'll jump on that opportunity.
Hey,
Okay.
Keith, what are you talking about? F-250. I'm not sure.
Let me see if I can go up. What's the next burnout? Maybe it's referring to this question. I think he's giving you crap.
Hope there's none. Oh, he's saying he's hoping there's no F-250s at the next gathering, so I don't wreck another one. I get it. That's a good.
So, I'm not sure what went on with the Blake and the Bad Tree production guys.
His phone was acting up and was dying.
Oh, okay.
And then they're still in the live chat, but he
Yeah.
got off the thing. So, but he did give us a whole tour of all his Mopar stuff. I took a nap, so I don't know what he's got, but
They got some tunnel ram stuff going on and some Mopar stuff and Mopar no car.
Yeah, we were kind of razzing each other a little bit. It was all right. So
yeah, there's some good guys, and you know they could be a little rough on the surface as far as giving a guy a hard time, but that's what this community is all about. Being hard on each other, but also being there for each other. Because I know those are the kind of guys. They're up in Iowa, and if I called them and say, "Hey, I need you guys down here as soon as you get down here," if they could do it, they would drop everything they're doing and be at my shop as soon as they could. And
yeah,
you know, I don't expect anybody to ever really do that, but you know, that's just the kind of guys they are and the kind of people I've been meeting with this YouTube thing. It's just a good community.
well, the thing about it is if you're in the car and truck community, you should expect to razz back and forth about
Oh yeah,
vehicle makes and everything. And you can't. I guess what I'm trying to say is you can't get your feelings hurt if you don't have feelings. So,
well, I mean, I say that. I mean, I'm a very deep and thoughtful, feeling person, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't let the harassing and the good stuff bother me.
yeah.
You know, because it's all in good fun, and you know, unless it gets super personal, you're not going to hurt my feelings. And yeah, I don't worry about if people make fun of my 305 or my 4-speed because it's going to be slow. It's always going to be slow. I don't care. I know it's going to be slow. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it to be the fastest truck in the world. I am doing it to be hopefully the fastest 4-speed, granny low 4-speed in the world. That's what I'm going to work towards. But
hey, my white truck's got a cammed up 307 with headers, and I can take any Ford Escort on the road.
Yeah. Those minivans are not going to pass me.
Nope. At the end of the day, it's all about what you like, and it don't matter what anybody else does.
Yeah, I'm with Sean here. It's fact checked. It's written down. Chevys are the best.
Yeah, I'll have to agree. And honestly, as long as I can put a Ford on a trailer every once in a while, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like beat them in a race. I mean I go to the junkyard and tow one around and drop it back off so I feel superior.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some minivans out there that I wouldn't be able to touch, but
I think he's talking about that. There's a YouTube channel, some kids from Florida or something called Boosted Boys.
Yeah.
They got some Honda K-swapped Honda minivan with turbos on it or something.
Yeah.
Intrigued. You said you keep the 305. I'd do everything you do to soup up a 350 to that 305 and just keep the 305 in there.
Yeah.
It save you a lot of money. I mean, I'm assuming you're looking at doing a crate motor or something, and you get a crate 350. You're looking at $2,200 for something rebuilt in Mexico from O'Reilly's. You can do a lot of work to that 305 for $2,200.
And for the most part, no one would ever know the difference.
Yeah.
That was the whole point in the beginning with this truck I got behind me, the 305 that I had in it. It was a bone stock, I think it was an 85 casting block, but it's bone stock. Had cast iron intake, cast iron manifolds, had an Eldebrock 500 on it. That's the only thing that wasn't factory on this 305 when I got it. And this is 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And on Facebook at the time, so I almost sold the truck. Some of you may have already heard the story before, but I'm going to repeat it. But I almost sold the truck because I didn't really want another project truck. But that's when I was just beginning the channel. And I kept tossing it back and forth, trying to sell it. And I thought, I'm just going to keep it, do something with it. Well, then on Facebook, I kept seeing these guys asking the same questions like Steve's asking. They've got a 305. Is there anything they could do with it? Or, what can you do with the 305? And then people would just pounce on them. And it's like, they're not worth putting anything into. Don't waste your money on 305. You can't get any power out of them. And it's like, okay, I've got the platform. I'm beginning a platform, and I've got the truck. And it had 305 and a 4-speed. So the worst of best worlds, or worst of that world. So, no fun having. So I'm going to prove everybody that you can have fun with the 305. And I literally had to check the casting numbers on this thing twice to make sure it was a 305 because it ran good enough in stock form that I couldn't tell the difference. Because I put the first modification done on the truck is put a mini spool in the rear end, that 12 volt with 342 gears, and this thing you could melt the tires off, and not power braking it. Just dump the clutch in second gear and let it eat, and it'd sit there and do donuts for days. It'd float the valves, didn't have to have a rev limiter. It'd float the valves, but you could never hurt it. It never got hot. It never gave any problems. So then, okay, our next step is we need to put your basic upgrades: cam, intake, headers. Well, I had the performer intake, your basic Eldebrock performer intake, sitting on the shelf. I had some headers that would fit sitting in the rafters, and I bought a cheap Summit cam, the biggest I could put in there, and that's how I chose it. It wasn't no specific numbers. It was the biggest cam I could put in there without machining anything on the head. And I put some valve springs in to match. And they were just eBay Z28 valve spring. Cleaned the heads up, I've got videos on all this, but the point is the cheap upgrades you do to any 350, I done to the 305. And man, it came to life. And that's when I started taking to the drag strip. Let's put this to numbers. Let's get some numbers out of this thing. I took the drag strip when it was stock. And then the nitrous stuff came in. That's going a little past what most people would do, but it's still a 305. And it's still, that 305 in this truck was the funnest thing I've had to date out of all the other trucks I've had. Big blocks, small blocks, whatever. My Duramax is close to 600 horse. And yeah, it's fun. My crew cab's got 400 horse or so big block in it, but it's a big truck. All the other trucks I've had, this is the funnest truck I had, and it was a 305 4-speed. So if that's what you got, you could build on that 305 and save some money on what you put into 350. That's kind of what Aaron's getting to is if that 305 is in good shape, do everything to it you was wanting to do to 350, and you'll be just as happy.
And that 305 will spin a lot more RPMs and get there a lot faster.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. People don't realize is a 305 will turn more RPMs, and it's not just because I say so. It's because reciprocating mass. They have lighter pistons. They will literally turn more RPMs before anything comes apart. A 305 versus a 350, the same stroke, same crankshaft. A 305 will turn more RPMs because they have less reciprocating mass going back and forth. They can literally turn more RPMs.
I got a 307 in my white truck I call RJ. And there's a full build on my channel of that motor and putting it in that truck. But a 307 is even more of a bastard child than a 305 is. And that 307 runs. It's got a decent sized cam in it, and it'll make power all the way up through 6,800 RPM, and it'll get there in a hurry.
Yep.
So
yeah, that 305, even though it's getting really wore out, it would turn. I was shifting at 7,000 RPM, and it would go to 74 really easily. Not saying that it was making a lot of power if you just put it on a dyno, but it would still. It wouldn't float the valves. Had good springs. It would go that high.
I think you would already. Yes, you have, Keith. You watch my videos. You've seen it a couple times. But I think you had already got up and walked away to talk to your kid. But I built a 305 and put it in that white truck a few years ago when I first got the truck, and I gave it to my nephew as his first car. And he, 16, 17 years old, first vehicle, he was racing the thing everywhere. He thought he was a race car driver. Well, he lives up in Illinois, and he was driving the truck, and he hit a patch of ice in it in the wintertime. And I put a tack in it so he could watch it because I told him don't go over $6,000 ever. You know? Not that it wouldn't. I just wanted it to last. Well, he was racing some new Dodge Charger or something in the wintertime. He hit a patch of ice, and he said he saw the tack hit 9,500 for a second.
Yeah.
And he let out of it, obviously, right away. But he saw a 305 tack 9,500 for a split second, and I guarantee you right now, you turn a 350 to 9,500, you're going to be picking up pistons out of the oil pan.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know because I've done it.
Me too. I'm gonna answer ugly trucks.
Picked up pistons out of an oil pan. I've never got a 350 to turn 9,500. So
no. Ugly trucks. Question about the resistor on the firewall. That resistor is for if I have to run that Mallory Unilite distributor without the ignition control box, I have to run the power through that resistor, or it will burn up the Unilite module in the distributor. That's the reason why that ballast resistor stay there. I don't use it right now because of the ignition box, but I'll leave the resistor there and the wiring to hook the distributor back up to bypass the ignition box in case I have an ignition box failure, and I can make it home. And it's also plug and play. If I had to drop an HEI distributor back in it, I could drop an HEI distributor back in it and plug the factory wire back in it. Everything's powered into the factory ignition wire from the key. That way, if I ever have an issue, I can, a lot of times when I go, I didn't do it when we went to Oklahoma, but a lot of times if I go away from a shop, I'll drag a a good HEI distributor with me just in case. Because if nothing else happens or nothing else works, I could drop a known good HEI in there and it'll run.
My question on that is, why are you running all the ignition boxes and big coils and everything when you could do just about the same thing with an HEI?
I could, but I have them. The ignition box, the ignition box, I could hook it up to the standard HEI distributor, and that HEI it'd be fine for what I'm doing.
I mean, if you're spraying nitrous or something like that, I understand having the ignition box because you can use it to pull timing and whatever.
Well, this one won't pull timing, but it's got the 2-step rev limiter. But also running nitrous, I want a hot enough spark.
So you're basically using it for the 2-step, so you can launch the truck when you're making passes with it.
Okay. Yeah, and a rev. Yeah. Well, the 2-step isn't absolutely necessary. It does help with staging and launching. But just having a rev limiter is really handy, and the extra ignition power and control of the ignition with the or hotter spark for the nitrous. That's the main reason I run on this truck. I mean, if I wasn't running the nitrous, that HEI distributor would do everything I wanted it to do, and I could put Actually, I've got the HEI distributor that I have as a spare has a is it the Pertronics ignition module, rev limited ignition module in it. Yeah. That's programmable for whatever rev limit I want, and they work great.
Like I said, I'm not dogging you. I was just curious because with the exception of like one truck that I've ever built, I've never run anything but an HEI, and it's pretty much power wise, it's giving me everything I've needed. So
So the other thing is hashtag because race truck. It's a race truck. It needs a race distributor. Yeah. Well, the whole race truck.
Like you said, you had the stuff. So
yeah, I've had the stuff, and the whole race truck thing is kind of an ongoing joke with myself that I do play with it at the drag strip and whatever, but making it look and perform like a race truck, I guess. But First Responder Garage is here. He's looking for a 307 if anybody's got one.
I might know where there's some, but I don't know if I want to tell anybody else.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you find one, if I found one myself, I probably wouldn't. I'd hold on to it. They're hard to find.
Well, I know where there's 4 more, and none of them are complete. And I'm not going to go out and buy them, but I'm going to keep tabs on them because if I ever need parts or something like that, I know where to go get them. But I can tell you go wandering through all junkyards, there's a lot of 4-door cars out there with 307s in them that nobody realizes are there.
Yeah.
Somewhere back up here, somebody made some comments. We were talking. Somebody made some comments about a 327.
327.
Where did they go? Trying to go back through the comments.
Yeah, I'm doing the same.
Rookie 13. Gotta love a 327. Yeah. Mike's car hole. I have a strong live for the 327 myself. Yeah, I'm a 327 fan too, but that's another.
They're a different beast, really. They are.
People are gonna argue with me, but as far as where I'm at and what I deal with, they're made out of unobtainium here.
Yeah.
So trying to get my hands on a 307 is very, very unlikely.
I've got a 283. I think I got a 283 sitting here.
You better keep that under a bench somewhere and not tell anybody you got it.
Well, I've got one guy in mind. If the build goes through, I told him he'd be the only one that I would allow it to be put in his build. But we'd build the 302 out of it, or just build the Scream 283, because they don't have the horsepower, but they will rev to the moon. It's a different kind of fun.
Me and a buddy of mine had this conversation not too long ago, because he just got a 64 El Camino that originally came with a 327. And we were talking about how hard 327s are to come by and everything else. And we started talking about 307s, and we started talking about 350s and 283s. And at the end of the day, if you want to put in the effort and do the research, you can build a 327 out of a 350.
Yeah.
You can build a 327 out of a 307. You can build a 307 out of a 327. You can build anything. If you want a 307, you can make one out of a 305. Like, you don't have to, you run the numbers on it, it's not going to say 307. That's going to be the only difference, but it's going to be the same motor. You want a 327, you de-stroke a 350, you got a 327, but the numbers aren't going to come up as a 327. They're going to come up as a 350. But any of these motors that are more or less unobtainable at this point, if you want to put in the research and spend the money, you can build them.
Yeah, but that's the other bonus to a 305. Nobody wants them, and you can still have a ton of fun with them on the cheap. And if you want to go to more extremes, that's what I'm trying to prove with my 305 now. Is I've put a lot of money into it to kind of go to extreme that probably no one else. I'm not saying that nobody else would, but I put a lot of parts and money into this thing that shouldn't really be. It should be going into something bigger.
Did you by chance watch my latest video?
No, I haven't.
Well, we're talking about throwing a lot of money into something nobody else would mess with. That's exactly what my last video is all about.
I've seen your thumbnail in the clip. Can we talk about it? Are you okay to talk about it? I mean, the video's out, so yeah, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
So, from the thumbnail and the description, it's a inline 6 burnout truck.
Yes.
And I'm loving that idea.
So, once again, that goes back to I should have been born in the 50s and lived through the 70s.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
I don't have nothing to prove to nobody but myself. But I just want to go out there, and I want to go to a well-known burnout competition and blow the tires off of something, and maybe send the damn rods through the hood, and just prove that an inline 6 can hang with a 350 or 400 or whatever. Because back in the mid to late 70s, people were drag racing inline 6s.
Oh yeah,
it was a common thing. Now, with the whole arguments about not LS swapping and all that kind of stuff, I am trying to figure out. Well, it's mostly a money thing, but I am going to fuel inject the inline 6, because the main problem Chevy had with their 194s, I'm just going to say every inline 6 they ever came out with, is the way the intake manifolds are made. Cylinder 1 and cylinder 6 get starved for fuel.
Yep.
So they run really lean. They run hot. I can't tell you how many inline 6s I've pulled apart that had ring glands missing on the number 1 cylinder, and it's because they don't fuel. It's because they don't fuel properly, and they lean out, and the number 1 and number 6 get hot, real hot.
So you're talking not a throttle bar. You're talking multi-port with injector free.
I'm talking multi-port.
Yeah.
Injector per cylinder. Yeah.
Yeah. that would be the best way to overcome that. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Well, I want to run like a MS3, like a micro squirt or a mini squirt setup, because that's one of those things where you can program everything yourself.
Yeah.
I know you can. I know you can with some of the other ones too, but I know MS3 is one that you can for sure do whatever you want. And I've also heard from a lot of people that have used them that they have really good technical support.
Okay.
So you go to use them, you call them up, and they're gonna, help you. And they're about a third of the price of a Holley or a Fuel Tech or anything like that. So if anybody on here works for MS3 and wants to help me out,
Yeah.
let me know. But hell, if anybody on here works for Holley and wants to help me out, let me know. But
yeah, I'd be interested in that too. Of course, that's one of the things with this YouTube thing. Like, when do I start like really calling these companies? And I feel like I want to contact Nitrous Express because every bit of my nitrous system is Nitrous Express, but it's already bought. But I haven't proven anything enough with the truck for myself to call them up and say, hey, this is what I'm doing with the truck. I'm playing at the track, maybe once or twice this summer, and that's all I'm doing with it. But can you help me out? I don't know.
Get a hold of Jimmy Dale.
Yeah.
Tom, his name's Tom Gunner. He's a pretty good guy. If you look him up on Facebook and friend him and send him a message, he'll respond to you.
Okay.
When I was saying I've only ran an ignition box on one vehicle that I built a 2-door S10 Blazer drag truck, and it had a built 355 with, it was all out, full cage, everything. And I I traded it to another guy for diesel Chevy pickup, and Tom Gunner bought it from him. So he actually had my drag blazer that I built 7-8 years ago, something like that. But looks like you're wanting to answer a question, Chad. I'll let you.
Yeah, I'll touch on Jacob Carter's. He's talking about my '76 auction truck. And since we were talking about inline sixes, it's an inline six truck, 250 straight six. It's on the back burner right now, Jacob. I've got to get my 339 built and some other stuff, but I do have some things in the works for the auction truck. I'm looking forward to playing with that truck. It'll be just a put back to stock, preserve what's there kind of thing. So, yeah, I've got to pick up some parts for it. Let's see. First responder said he's dealt with the micro squirt. Don't waste your time or money. I don't know.
I'm trying to go figure out how to go about saying this, but I know people personally that have firsthand information about them, and they love them.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what his bad experience was with it or why he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm not disagreeing with him, but I have firsthand experience from people I know that love them and swear by them. So
yeah. Well, first responder garage is one of my regulars, and he's one that you could talk to, and he'll. So yeah, first responder, if you'll get to maybe let us know what your bad experience was or something like that. I mean, any information, good or bad, is as long as it's true.
Absolutely.
As long as it's honest information and not, well, I heard from a guy, from another guy that it just didn't work for him. Well, why didn't it work for him? Well, I don't know. Well, maybe they're idiots and couldn't even.
I'm not saying that's what this case is.
Oh, I know, but
I've had
Yeah.
I've had things before that people have said were the greatest thing on earth, and I used them and hated them.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, and I've installed many of these, and I'm sure I'll install many more. But I've installed, I want to say 7 or 8 Holly snipers.
Okay.
The throttle body, direct replacement for a carb, hook up 5 wires, it's ready to go. I have not had a good experience with any of them. I've had a problem to where I've had to send it back to Holly and get it reprogrammed. And
Uh-oh.
all 6 or 7 of them that I've installed have had had rich fuel problems from the word go. And no matter what, I called Holly tech support and they built tunes for me and had me install them and everything else. And my AFR gauge is still reading like 33, 34. And
Oh, wow.
yeah. And it's every single one, all 6 or 7 of them, you're supposed to just be able to hook it up and put in the basics and fire it up and it's ready to go. And once you get all the bugs worked out of it and everything, I guess they work pretty good. They never really start worth a crap in my experience, but
yeah. So I've never personally installed a sniper. I've got a good friend of mine that put one on years ago, and he loved it from the beginning. Never had any issues with it. So it's good to get good, honest information, because actually, I think I hit you up about if you're interested, but we're supposed to be doing a sniper setup on this channel in August, along with a whole bunch of other stuff with this truck from Benco Designs. He's going to bring his 80, I think it's an 85 dually with low miles.
That root beer on tan one that he brought to the show.
Yeah. Okay. So, and of course, I was wanting to go over it with him, I guess, behind the scenes. But one thing I have seen on the sniper setups is, and I need to talk to him, because he's got a dual plane intake he's going to put on it, like a air gap copy. What I have seen on the snipers, as far as watching YouTube videos.
Hang on a second, Chad. First responder, I'm reading your comments here. I'm not ignoring you, bud. We're just talking about something else, but that's good information. Thanks for answering that. Sorry, Chad. I just didn't want him to think you.
That's okay. But no, the snipers, they don't like dual plane intake. No. I've watched a few episodes or a few shows where they've tried them and couldn't get them to run right, and then they put a single plane intake underneath it and run flawless. So,
and I've also found out in my experience that when you order a sniper, just go ahead and order another O2 sensor for it, because the one that comes in the box with the sniper is going to be bad.
This is good information, because we're going to be dealing with a sniper, and we're going to be on a timeline to get this thing running. And he's expecting to drive it back to Minnesota from southern Missouri. So yeah,
this I don't want to invite myself to a party, but this could turn into a hell of a collab if you want to try to work something out.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're more than welcome to show up. Anybody's welcome to show up. I mean, I don't have a huge shop for 50 people. I'm gonna have to do some rearranging the shop, because it's a big truck. I know it'll fit in the shop, but I'm gonna run out of real estate really quick if we're gonna have 10 guys working on it, because we've got the sniper, of course, the intake, headers, full exhaust, gear vendors, overdrive unit to put in it. We're gonna try to be ahead of the game as far as the drive shaft. Try to have a drive shaft already ready to go. Gauge, aftermarket gauge install, digital gauges. He's got a big list.
And what's the time frame to do this?
It's going to be coming down, I think, Thursday. That Thursday, it's and I can't remember the dates off the top of my head. It's the last week in August, I believe. Thursday's going to come down. We're going to try to get hooked up with the hub dyno guys and get it on the hub dyno and get some base numbers, what it is right now. And then basically Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. So, and I may have to take my normal days off for Friday and Saturday. I may have to take off that Sunday.
Oh, that's a tall order for 3 days.
It is. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Brad, are you in here? I know he liked the comments about the live chats and stuff. Did he show up tonight or?
I haven't seen Brad pop in yet.
I haven't seen any comments. I haven't seen any comments. I'm just wondering if he's been hanging out in the background, not letting us know he's here.
He may be waiting to hear. This comment I got highlighted. I hadn't even actually had a chance to read it. And seeing I'm kind of. I mean, I've done auto body work. I've done professional painting, but not in the automotive world. Top coating and stuff like that with lacquers back in the day when a cabinet factory. But I've never had anything worth doing much paint and body on, other than trying to keep it together enough to drive it safely down the road. I'm going to get to that point. I can do it. I'm more interested in the mechanical stuff.
As far as that goes, I love painting.
I love painting.
I love painting.
I don't like the prep.
I do not sand.
I hate the Bondo. I don't mind the metal work because I've been in metal fabrication most of my life. Not on cars, but I've worked a lot of metal. I don't mind the body work as far as the metal part. The Bondo, the sanding, the making sure everything's perfect. I'm a little too impatient for that. All the prep work. Now, when it comes to actually just spraying it, I love spraying. I love laying down some paint. But I just hate everything that leads up to it, except for the metal work. If I could just do the metal work and the paint, I'd be fine.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you. You were talking about being ahead of the game on his drive shaft for the gear vendor.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with metal work and you know how to weld and stuff, I actually made a video on how to shorten a drive shaft yourself.
Yeah. Well, see, I've done several. I would like to try to have it done by a shop since he's going to be driving it and make sure it's balanced or true and all that stuff. But I've done several for myself. I just don't like doing it for other people.
You know how to balance them, don't you?
You can use a dial indicator and true them up and then just like heat up a little spot to pull them one way or the other.
Yeah. I've got a really good friend of mine. His grandfather owned a drive shaft shop and he grew up in it, and that's all he's probably getting close to 40 years old, and the only thing he's ever done is drive shafts. And he's got the lathes and all the fancy tools and everything, but he taught me how to do it and told me, once I'd moved away from where he lived, he told me, he goes, just do it yourself. He goes, taking it and putting it on a lathe and everything else, that you're not really getting it any better. You check the run out on a dial indicator, it's as good as you're going to get on a balancing machine on a dang thing. So, and honestly, where I live here now, I honestly don't even know anywhere that there's a machine shop or somebody that would do a drive shaft. I'm sure there's something around here, but I don't know where they are. And so I've always been one of those people. I do as much as I can by myself. So
I've got a really good drive shaft shop just a half hour from me. Really cool guy. Usually when I take something to him, it's like, if you get it done today, I'll just hang out in town, do whatever. Or if it's going to be a week or two, just let me know. He's like, oh, no, just come back in about an hour or two. I'll have it ready for you. and he'll drop what he's doing and get my stuff done. Not because I'm anybody special. He built the drive shaft for Squeaky here and he told me he didn't want to do it. I had to pay cash. There's no receipt. There's no record of me being in his shop for that drive shaft because it was way too long for the diameter and the style of drive shaft because it has the slip yoke as part of the drive shaft. So he said it wouldn't work, and it didn't. He didn't lie to me. It pretty much pretzeled up at the same RPM that he said it would.
And they know.
Oh yeah. I mean, he showed me the chart. I said, "Can you please? I want an education. I don't, I want to know. I want to know why. I just don't want to say, here, well, it ain't gonna work. Well, I need to know. I want the education of why." So he got his charts out. He's got his little books out, and he showed me and explained to me what actually happens. I'm like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense now. It's not the torque in my application. It was because that tube is so long that with a certain RPM, it starts doing this. Once it starts oscillating, and it just twists in the middle. That's exactly what happened to mine. It maybe 500 RPM more than what he said it was rated at.
I've never, in all my years of doing this and all my experience, I've never seen a drive shaft break near the welds.
No.
Ever.
No, that twist in the middle.
9 out of 10 times, it's about 12 to 15 inches from the transmission yoke back into the shaft, and they just fold up like a pretzel.
Yeah, this one was right in the center, which is indicative of RPM failure. And then, of course, when that happened, that was at Sykeston, and I needed a drive shaft so I could put the truck in a burnout contest. So I went to the local scrapyard. I don't know if you've heard this story, Aaron. I'm kind of telling this story to Aaron if you haven't heard it.
No, I haven't.
Most of the people in the chat have already heard this story probably 100 times, but so I went to the local scrapyard, or not scrapyard, steel yard. I took a piece of my drive shaft. I cut the bad spots out of it. I had about this much, about 15 inches on each end, and I knew my overall length. So I went to the local steel yard and told him, I said, I need a piece of pipe that's at least 3/16 to 1/4 inch thick that this tube will slide into. He said, that's a drive shaft. I said, yeah, don't ask why. I just this is what I want, and I need about this long. He's like, well, let's go see what we got. I said, all I need to do is for it to hold together for a burnout contest. He's like, oh, okay. And so we went out there, we found a piece of tube. It was like, it wasn't like well casing or anything. It's tubing. But it was like 1/4 inch wall. It's heavy. That drive shaft weighs probably close to 100 pounds now. But I slid both ends into it, and a guy had a portable welder at Sykeston, and I put it on the tailgate of his little Dodge Dakota pickup, and I welded up the ends, got them as true as I possibly could, and no dial indicators, no nothing. and stuck it back in.
And that's the drive shaft that's still in there?
Oh, no. It made it through the burnout contest, bouncing off the rev limiter at like over 5,000 RPM in third gear, and then back on the trailer and back home, and that was it. I pulled it out. It's just a keepsake now. I put the original 2-piece drive shaft back in it, and so far it's holding up great. It held up to the nitrous run on the hub dyno, 634 foot-pounds of torque and over 6,000 RPM, so it's holding up good so far, the factory stuff.
Well, just a little something that a lot of people don't necessarily know about, but it's good information if you don't know. If you go to the scrap or go to the junkyard and get a drive shaft out of a like 2000 to 2008 Chevy 1500 series pickup truck, Suburban, Tahoe, whatever. Well, it's not. I don't think it's 2000 to 2008, but there's a year range in there, and they had like 5-inch diameter aluminum drive shafts. So you can get pretty much the right lengths for these trucks because the trucks have all,
Yeah.
from the 40s to present, the wheelbases are all close to the same. The lengths, well, the newer stuff, I wouldn't say the transmissions are close to the same length, but up till the end of the 4L80s and 4L60s, I mean, you can take a turbo 350 drive shaft and stick it right in the back of a 4L60. Splines match up and everything.
Yeah.
They're the same length. So if you get the right era of, a 3/4 ton or half ton Chevy pickup in the mid 2000s, you get the aluminum drive shafts, and they're twice as strong as any steel drive shaft's ever going to be, and they got less rotational weight, so you gain a little bit of horsepower at the rear tires. So
yeah, the issue I've got with my application is the
Jeff Dillard just texted me, if you ever need to know any clinical information on any vehicle, or you need a spid sheet or a VIN number broke down or anything, Jeff's the guy to get a hold of, because he loves doing this stuff, loves it. And he just texted me and told me GMT 800 series 99 to 06 and 2000 to 2006 SUVs. So that's what you're looking for your aluminum drive shafts.
what was the years again?
99 to 06 trucks and 2000 to 2006 SUVs.
Okay, I've got a Tahoe sitting out here, my son's. It's been sitting in my field for a couple of years, but the problem with my application is my transmission has a fixed yoke, and rear end obviously is fixed. My slip has got to be in the drive shaft. So to find the spline, find that setup for aluminum is a little more difficult. And I'd like to upgrade to 1410, which would be, I'd like to look for some stuff out of some 1-ton Dodges or whatever. I need to go scour some good salvage yards for a donor drive shaft for that thing with the splines in the drive shaft.
First responders said early 80s with 308 gears. Some are carbon wrapped, which is interesting. I have 90s is when they started rounding the bodies. I've got my white truck RJ is a 80 model with a 308 gear, because it was originally a 5.7 diesel truck. Like, it still had the 5.7 diesel in it when I got it. And
you still have that?
No.
You still have the?
No, I don't. Quick story while we're telling stories.
Yeah.
So I already told you, RJ, my white truck, I bought it from my nephew as his first truck. Gave it to him, told him it was his. And all I said was, if you ever decide to get rid of it, I get first option to buy it from you. And granted, I bought it and gave it to him, but I told him, I get first option to buy it from you if you get rid of it. So he called me up a while back and told me that, he bought a good car. He's got a good job, all that. He didn't have room to store the truck and whatever. So I bought it back from him and told him, hey, if you ever want it back, let me know. We'll work something out. But when I bought that truck, it only had like 13,000 original miles on it. And this was in like 2017.
Oh, wow.
And it was an old farmer's truck, and he drove it back and forth to the feed store like once a week. And then he passed away, and the guy that I bought it from bought it in an estate sale and never even started it. He parked it in his backyard, and it sat there for 22 years. So when I got it, the 5.7 was locked up.
Oh, okay.
And I actually got it freed up, got it running, and I drove it 80 miles from my house to C10's in the park in Waxahachie, Texas. It was 80 miles. I drove it there. Everybody was going, wow, I've never seen a 5.7 diesel in person in a truck, blah, blah, blah. It was cool. Made it about 60 miles of the 80 on the way back home, and it let go.
Yeah.
Like everything let go. There wasn't. I'm not joking with you. I was driving down the road at 55, 60 miles an hour, and it went poof, and there wasn't a seal left in that motor.
Wow. So I've got a 79 That's the project having built for the wife. Little short bed, 2-wheel drive. It's originally a 5.7 diesel truck, and at one time I think I located the original engine for it, and it still ran when they pulled it. Well, we know that kind of story, but I haven't followed up to see if they've still got it or not. But I'd like to put a.
From my experiences, I probably wouldn't put that motor back in that truck to build for your wife. Go find you a 6.2.
I've got one of them sitting in a truck too.
Well, if you got two of them and you don't need the second one, I'll come get it because I need one right now.
Well, this one has set out with. It's not a runner, so it's probably had water in it.
I know a lot of secrets on 6.2s and how to make them run good and how to make them last, and there's a lot of good you can get out of a 6.2, and I'm letting it all hang out here. You guys, if you didn't already know, you now know that I'm for all about the underdog motors, because nobody likes the 6.2s, nobody likes the inline 6s, nobody likes the 305s and 307s. Those are all my favorites. So,
well, and the reason I was interested in the 5.7, of course, obviously the truck originally came with one, and my wife literally drives like a little old lady, and those engines, if they're kept up in decent working order, those 5.7 diesels are great for that. They don't like to be hot rodded at all. They don't,
the biggest
they have their issues. They have a lot of issues.
The biggest problem with them is you can't hardly find parts for them.
Yeah. And
the configuration of the head bolts made them to where they can't keep a head gasket in them.
Yeah.
Pretty much, you let it sit there and idle too long, it'll blow the damn head gasket.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some research, and there's some things that guys have done to help with them, and it probably, I'll admit, it was probably one of those things. It would be fun to do, and then once I started having enough problems with it, I would probably put a 350.
Well, that's what I did. I mean, it was so cool that it had a 5.7, because I had never even. I mean, obviously, I'd seen them in the Oldsmobile cars before, but I'd never seen one in a square body. And I was like, man, I'm going to preserve this thing and make it great. And when it left me stranded on the side of the road, I said, screw this thing, throw it in a damn scrap bin, put a real motor in it.
Yeah.
Steve, I'd say shorty headers aren't worth it. If you're going to get some mid-length or some long tubes, I'd be okay, but I wouldn't waste my time or money on shorty headers.
Yeah. So my experience with headers is I would rather run headers, even cheap headers, than stock manifolds. But as far as header gaskets, of course, I learned this trick years and years ago before we had good copper gaskets made up of the head. The copper gaskets work great. But on the small blocks, all I've ever used on my header gaskets for small blocks is the factory. I double up the factory gaskets and put a little red RTV, the high tip RTV on the bolts, and some lock washers, and I never have any leaks. And then
you know what I use for my header gaskets on every Chevy motor I put in anything?
What's that?
Red hot RTV.
Yeah.
I don't even put a gasket in there. I smear a thin coat of RTV right on the head. And when you go to take the headers back off, you damn near got to use a pry bar.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't tried that, but I could see that working. And, that's the thing, is you don't need a bunch of expensive stuff. Of course, nowadays, with my suggestion, a good set of copper gaskets are the same price as 2 sets of the factory gaskets. It probably will hold up better.
Yeah.
But on your case, what you use,
You can make about 4 sets of gaskets
Yeah.
with a tube of silicone.
Yeah. So
and they're reusable. You scrape them off and use the same tube to seal it back
there you
up
go.
and put it back on.
And then for the collectors, and I've got some videos on it, but I use they're called header buddies. They're the ball socket, and you don't need a gasket. It's a ball socket that fits
Right.
into your header collector.
Right.
You weld that to your exhaust, and it bolts into your header collector. And you can have a little misalignment. You got some adjustment, and they do not leak. I've got them on all my trucks that have headers, and I love those header buddies, the ball socket.
I was talking about the ones that go to where it goes to the head. I wasn't talking about at the collector.
Well, yeah, that's what I was talking about too.
Oh, okay.
But I moved downstream to the collector part because a lot of people, and everybody suffered with, if you run headers, the collector gasket blows out. And for years, I've done your trick with a collector gasket. I didn't run a gasket. I just had the 2 flat flanges. I would goop it up with the red RTV, bolt it up, and let it cure. And even if it did seep a little bit, it wasn't bad. But those ball sockets, I've got some on the shelf.
I know what you're talking about. I've bought it. Anytime you buy headers for LS swaps in a square body, they come with the ball sockets on them.
I'll try to find them real quick so I can show everybody on the chat here, or that might be watching real quick. But yeah, these header buddies, I love them.
Steve, I scrolling back up. I seen your last question. I haven't got around to answering it yet. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Original 305 serial to the truck one day be worth more than a swap 350. Yes and no. I mean, when it comes down to that day, the OBS trucks are getting really popular, but when it comes down to that day when they're, 60, 70 years old, I mean, look at us now. We like cars with numbers matching motors and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can only assume that 20 years from now, when the OBS are the hip things, that having a numbers matching motor would probably be a little bit better than the swapped in motor. So that would be my thought on it. And I just like the 305, so I'm going to say stick with it.
So
first responder, I've read every comment you put up there tonight, bud. You've just been tearing me up. I haven't even had time to respond. Dan from South Georgia's got a square body with a 305 with 574,000 miles on it.
Holy crap.
Have you ever seen that picture on Facebook of that old man?
Yeah.
Like a carpenter or something with that square body, and they say, "Why don't you buy a new truck?" He said, "Because I haven't needed to, and it's got over 1 million miles on it, and body's gone." I've got a buddy whose grandfather lives in Kansas, and he's got a flatbed square body that he bought from the factory with a flatbed, or bought brand new with a flatbed, and he's got over 700,000 on his, but it's on the 3rd motor.
Yeah.
But
so real quick, this is the header buddies I talked about. This part welds to the exhaust going to the back. This part just seats into your header.
Right.
And then you got long bolts that go through there. And you can get them, I get them from Summit, and you can get them for about any size. And they don't leak. You don't need a gasket. You don't even need RTV on these things. But so that's my little plug for my header buddies. I just use these things a lot, and I love them because you don't have to worry about any leaks.
We're going. Steve, 216,000 miles on a Vortec motor is nothing.
Yeah.
That's just broken.
So first responder, he cuts the flange between the manifolds. Yeah.
I'll be back
perfect.
in just a second, guys. I drank too many bottles of water.
Okay, yeah. Steve, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Dan, thank you too. Become a new member. I appreciate that, guys. That's what this is all about. Getting guys like Aaron on here. You know, Aaron and I originally met in person just a few weeks ago, and we've kind of known each other or known about each other for a while. I don't know how much he's watched my channel, probably about as much as I've watched his, which isn't much because we're busy doing our own thing. But getting on these lives and finding new members, finding new fans, finding new friends, building this community, that's what it's all about. I think Aaron already touched on that. I'm a little bit behind on the comments if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, that's kind of why I've been following along with them, because I can see them better than you can.
Yeah,
Chad,
I have to.
Chad, do you have turn downs on any of your trucks?
Well, I'm not. If you're talking about just like right out of the muffler and turn it down, Squeaky has 4 foot of 3-inch pipe, 8-inch glass packs, and then they kind of turn out to the side a little bit. Just real simple. Actually, I can show you guys because I've got that ability. You can see there. Can you see them?
Yeah. That's about the same exhaust setup I run on everything I have.
And then Buddy.
I hate pipes coming out from underneath the truck. I dump everything underneath.
Well, I did that for a while on Cream Puff, my 79, my daily driver. But it's just so much quieter in the cab when they go all the way out the back, and it's a matter of preference, I guess. My crew cab, it's got turn downs just about the same as Squeaky. It's got some of my personally fabricated mufflers that I designed years ago. Ceramic coated ball flanges. I don't know. I haven't seen any. Hello.
Some Amber Alert just went off on my phone.
Oh, so you got a tornado there in Alabama, or?
No, it's probably somebody shot a cop or something, and they're looking for him. That seems to be what it usually is. Somebody took their kid, but the other parent didn't want him to have it, and
yeah.
Now they got a worldwide manhunt out for him or something.
But no, on the ceramic coated, I don't know if they have the ceramic coated ball flanges. They might. I'm cheap, so I get the cheapest thing. You know, when I do a search on Summit, I do the sort in price low to high, and whatever's at the top, the lowest price, that's what I want. I get it.
My question is, since we're discussing things, and you may know, but I don't, would it still seal as good if it was coated?
I had that thought too. I would say so. I mean, these have the aluminized coating on them.
Well, yeah, but they're sized to fit, and that ceramic coating's a good 1/16 of an inch thick.
Yeah. I think there would be enough room for ceramic coating because these aren't a perfect machined. I mean, I know you guys can't see that on the camera. You might be able to, but they're not perfect.
They're kind of like a crush sleeve and a rear end.
Yeah.
Like you get them in there good and tight, and they kind of balloon and form themselves in there.
To a certain extent they do, and that's the nice thing about them. And even because the header flange is usually a little bit more pliable. So even if you clock it a little bit different, the next time you put them together, they'll still seal up. They'll still form together. That's cool. And, I kind of geek out on the numbers matching thing, maybe more than I should on these old trucks. But like on this truck behind me, it was original 250 straight six, granny low 4-speed, 342 gears, heavy half or Big 10, F44 RPO code with the Big 10 package. So it was a heavy duty short bed step side. But when I pulled the transmission out this last time, and I got to scrape it off all the gook and stuff, it's a numbers matching transmission. The numbers match the VIN, and that was kind of cool for me. I've never verified a numbers matching 4-speed in any of my trucks. Not that it makes the truck any more valuable. It's just kind of cool to me.
Sam, I saw your comment about almost getting a K10. I didn't ignore it. I just haven't got back around to it yet. Is that why you're selling your 56? Are you wanting to get a square body or? That still blows my mind. I'm trying to go back and see exactly what he said, but that still blows my mind. He's got 700 and some thousand on that truck. Where'd it go?
Is it 7 or 5?
I don't remember. That's why I'm trying to go back and find it.
I'm trying to. That's the fun part of these lives. I mean, it's live. It's
574.
Not... Okay.
I had a 91 Suburban, which was the first year of the 4L80E.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 98 Suburban or a 91 Suburban with the Vortex 3 or throttle body 350 and the 4L80E. And when the transmission finally went to where I couldn't keep it going anymore, that Suburban had 413,000 on it. And it smoked a little bit and it was down on power a little bit, but it'd still fire up first hit of the key and run great. Just wouldn't move anymore because the tranny let go. Jacob found a ramp truck, but it's not a square body, so it's not a ramp truck.
Yeah. You should know better, Jacob.
Hedman long tube header. That flange collector is what I have on my square body. That's cool. Thinking of keeping the 305 now, lightly breathed with stock 373 gears. What are you planning on doing with this truck, Steve? Is this your daily driver, or are you wanting to kind of dabble in racing it, or I'm just curious. Are the 4-speed transmissions date coded like the engines are? The later model automatics are dated. I don't know, Jeff. Chad might know.
I think I'm trying to remember, and I'm going off my memory. If you've watched any of my lives or anything, you know how my memory's not the best, but I think I remember finding what I thought was a date code on that transmission, and it matched with the 78. So I do believe they're date coded like the engines are. Like the casting date anyways.
Dan, that's okay. That's okay, Dan. We understand, bud. He was trying to say, "Forgive me, guys," because he's deaf and he's reading captions, which is fine.
Yeah,
he's the one that was talking about his truck having 574,000. We were looking for it. It's no big deal. Sam, it's not just where you're at, brother. Everybody wants 10 grand for a K model truck.
Yeah.
That's why I don't dabble in the 4-wheel drives, and I don't have one because I'm not putting out that kind of money to get one.
I've seen these memes on Facebook. Make $1,500 square bodies $1,500 again.
Yeah.
You know, or $15,000 square bodies $1,500 again, because you know, I hate to. 10 years ago, you know, my 79 cream puff that I drive every day, that would be probably, because it's running, driving, nothing really wrong with it. You know, I just made a trip back and forth to Oklahoma, no issues. That might have been a $2,500 truck because it's got a lot of rust on it. And I'm not trying to price my stuff, but trucks equivalent to that are bringing $5,000 or $6,000.
You can't touch a running short bed for under $5,000.
And that was the funny thing when I was, you know, 4 years ago, before I started working on this short bed, or this step side behind me, it was squeaky, and I was trying to sell it on Facebook Marketplace locally. And I looked on Facebook Marketplace within a 100-mile radius of me. I looked at prices of what everybody else is selling them at. And you couldn't touch a running, driving, licensed, and insured truck for less than $4,000. All the other trucks that were less than that, you need to bring a trailer. It would run and drive, but it may not stop, or it may not run right. Always bring a trailer. I priced it at $3,500. I priced it lower because of, you know, it's mismatched body panels. It's got good bones, and I priced it reasonable. And I had one guy hit on it, and he tried to say, "Well, you don't realize these trucks ain't worth that much." I'm like, yeah, they kind of are. Now, I do agree with him in one way, because I'm old school, and at the time, it was probably a $1,500 to $2,000 truck, but I priced it accordingly to what the market was. And yeah, he was trying to say I was way overpriced. I'm like, well, I'm not, because you can't touch another square body in a 100-mile radius like that for less than $3,500.
Yeah.
That runs and drives. You know, you could get in it, you could buy it, sign the title over, get it licensed and insured, and drive it.
4 or 5 years ago, or right before I started my YouTube channel, I was buying every square body I could find for $1,000 or less, and I was picking up 2 to 3 trucks a week, and if they were in bad shape, I was parting out the good parts, or I'd take 3 trucks and make one good truck or whatever, and there was an abundance of $1,000 square bodies. I could find them all over the place. Now, good luck finding $1,000 square body.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
middle of a field, have to cut a tree down to get to it. Ain't running 25 years.
$2,500.
Breaks nothing. You're still not even going to touch it for $1,000.
Dan, I plan to keep my 305. Same to keep 373 gears. Uh-oh. Turn my camera off. Yeah, if it's just going to be kind of a get-around truck, and that 305 still got some life in it, just build on that 305.
This is the one that's got 574,000.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, Steve is the one wanting to build 305.
Yeah. Sam, I highly doubt that flatbed cabin chassis is a short bed. It just looks like it because it's a flatbed. It may be, but it usually cabin chassis are either 8 foot, 10 foot, or 15 foot. There wasn't a whole lot of short beds. So
yeah,
I may be wrong, but I'm thinking it just looks like a short bed because a lot of them look short.
I've got one, a cabin chassis. Well, it's one my ex-father-in-law built out of several different trucks. But it's a cabin chassis, 1-ton frame, but it's got a real short bed on it. So the tires are closer to the rear of the bed. There's not a whole lot of tail end on the bed, so it looks like a short bed.
Yeah.
But the wheelbase, I think the cabin chassis, aren't the wheelbase just a little bit longer than a regular long bed wheelbase?
That's what I'm saying. They came in 8 foot, 10 foot, and like 16 foot or something like that, bed wise. But yes, the wheelbase. But Sam, if you remember, can't even remember what I named that truck anymore. The maroon Hot Shot. If you remember Hot Shot, if you look at that truck after I put that bed on there, it looks like a short bed because there's not a lot of bed behind the rear tires. But that's actually a full long bed truck. It just looks short. So, Dr. Speed, I have a 96K 1500 Z71 with a 305 and 373. It's a great daily driver. Shakes a little though. Got for $5,000 from a dealer. Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing bad to say about a 305, especially a TBI. They're good. They're good motors.
Yeah, definitely look short.
Steve bought it from an online auction on TFL YouTube channel. Vids are out there on my truck. Something crazy I've never done. Flew out to Denver. Drove it back to Georgia. I'm not familiar with TFL YouTube channel. I'm not sure who that is.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, the last few months I haven't had any time to keep up with anybody else's YouTube channels like I used to, because let's see, back, that's been more than a couple months, but I think in February I changed positions at my work. For the last 3 or 4 years, I was an engine room operator on midnight shift. So I was sitting at a desk for 8 hours a night and just making sure the boilers, air compressors, ammonia compressors ran. But other than that, I'd sit at a desk and watch YouTube. So I was able to keep up on everybody else's stuff. But now I've switched positions to day shift and I'm on the floor as a mechanic. I don't have time to watch a whole lot of YouTube because when I get off of work, I'm trying to do my own YouTube thing.
Yeah, and working night shift, there's usually not a whole lot of supervisors there.
Yeah, and in the engine room, that they've talked about taking the computer out of there, but the engine room operators, we don't really have a whole lot of other stuff to do, so that's there to keep us kind of awake.
Yeah.
And occupied.
Hunter the Bear Hunter, been thinking about Vortec 8100. That's a whole nother conversation. I don't have enough awakeness left in me for tonight. But I love that 8100 motor.
And what's
beast.
What's surprising is there's not a whole lot of support for them for some reason.
There's not a whole lot of them out there.
Yeah, and that's I won't say they're like the ultimate big block platform, but they've got a lot going for them for a stock big block platform.
I'm not a big diesel fan, and I'm not a big fuel injected fan, but I'd take an 8.1 over. I'm getting tired. I can't think anymore. What in the heck is the Duramax? I'd take an 8.1 over a Duramax any day of the week.
I wouldn't.
The only thing you're really gaining with, well, let's put it this way. If the 8.1 was stock and the Duramax was stock, I'd take the 8.1. Never mind.
Yeah, I would. It depends on which Duramax. Some of the earlier ones, Yeah, probably.
I wouldn't even get an LMM or anything newer. Now
I've got
an LBZ or something like that, those are decent, but I wouldn't get an LMM or anything newer than that.
Well, and mine's an LML 2012, and after you delete them and get rid of all the emissions crap, then they're one of the better ones from what I know. And I love my Duramax.
And
I still love.
They are. They're once you delete them and everything, they're
Yeah.
good motors. But you have to put a tune in them and make power with them.
Yeah.
You have.
I mean,
you can't not. So, but like I said, I'm not trying to start an argument. I personally.
Oh no.
I personally would rather take an 8100, an 8.1 over a Duramax. But
yeah. Oh no, there's no argument. We're disgusting.
Is Brad your son that was talking to you earlier?
No, Brad is my cousin from.
Okay.
I think he lives in Utah now. I haven't talked to him in a little while, and I'm as much as I play with the
That's funny.
Duramax over a bus pass, yeah.
Hell, scooter over a bus pass.
Yeah, and I'm a big block guy. I know for some reason I've kind of been, since I've been playing with this 305 and stuff, that's been like my main thing on my channel as far as playing. I love the small blocks too, but you can't beat a good big block. And that's why I'm having a hard time. I'm not very motivated in some ways to get this 305, the 339 stroker build done, is I'm having a lot of fun with this very mild big block in this truck right now that has put down some good numbers, way better numbers than what I thought it would on the dyno. And once I get it back to the track, I think I could get some stuff dialed in and have a lot of fun with it at the track for really mild big block. Because they're just, the torque out of the big block is it's just something else.
Have you seen my truck Pennywise on the channel?
I've seen it. I don't know much about it.
It's a 74 crew cab 2-wheel drive dually, but that's my forever truck. Like that.
Yes.
Somebody everything's for sale for what I call stupid money, and what I call stupid money is somebody made me an offer that I'd be stupid if I didn't take it.
Yeah.
But somebody would really have to come at me with stupid money for that truck to go anywhere. But it's a 454 SM 465, 456 gears. You put it in granny low, hook it up to a house, get out, walk away, come back a half hour later and finish the drive. Like I love that old truck.
I was saying that's the way my crew cab buddy is. I've had that truck for 20 years, and that truck was my everything vehicle for a long time. And it don't have a price, and because I could take a stupid amount of money for that truck and get in and buy another truck. Actually, I've got 2 other crew cabs sitting out in my field, the Field of Dreams, that I can make a better truck than Buddy is. But I can never replace Buddy.
I've never thought of having what we all consider our junkyards. I've never thought of calling it Field of Dreams. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. That's a good one.
Steve, that's actually the plan. That 339 is built to handle a lot of spray, either spray or boost. First, it's going to be spray because I've got the setup. But everything I put internally on this little 339 is capable of handling 700-800 horsepower. So hopefully it makes I'm hoping to make around 400 horse NA, and then the 250 shot that my nitrous plate is capable to handle right now will be 650 horse, and I can upgrade from there. But that is the plan. The 339 is going to be sprayed. The big block, the next time I get the opportunity to take it to the track, I will be spraying it at the track, because we've already got that was the coolest thing about putting it on that hub dyno, is I got to spray that big block for the first time in a safe environment. We was able to keep an eye on it, all the AFRs, everything was safe. We knew it was going to, be okay. And
you basically dyno tuned it.
Yeah. And that actually didn't even dawn on me till after the fact. I'm like, my truck's dyno tuned, NA and nitrous. We dyno tuned the truck. That wasn't my intentions, but that's what we ended up with. And that was, I didn't think about that till after. And so I could go to the track, put in, set the timing exactly where we had it on the dyno, and let it rip. I know it's safe, because it was making 460 horse with the nitrous and 634 foot-pounds of torque. And that's with the 150 shot. I could put 250 to it if I wanted to, but I don't really want to push that big block too much, because the internals are all stock. And I didn't gap the rings or nothing. 150 horse is pretty safe.
The thing about nitrous is, unless you get really, really crazy, I mean, in my experience or opinion, or however you want to put it, any stock motor is safe for a 250 shot if it's tuned properly.
Yeah.
You get anywhere over 250, 300, you're starting to ask for trouble. But you can, I mean, we put a 250 shot through a Honda Civic one time just for fun.
Yeah.
And it took it with flying colors, and the girl kept driving the car after we beat the crap out of it. So,
well, that 305 handled a 250 shot multiple times.
That 305 would probably handle a 400 shot.
Oh yeah,
on a 2-stage plate.
it handled it like a champ. But the other thing is, this big block, it's still fairly tight, and 150 is super, super safe, and 460 horsepower, that's okay in today's numbers, but 634 foot-pounds of torque, that's a lot of torque. And
I was going to say, in all honesty, with the torque you're gaining from the big block, it's probably going to go faster than the 305 with the 250 shot on a 150 shot because of the torque.
Yep. And that's what's going to be interesting to see is, this big block, as mild as it is. I mean, it's not a super, super small cam, but it's just a truck cam. It's nothing special. It only made 315 NA, so it's nothing super special. And you could put it in a tow truck. You could put it in anything you wanted to, but it's still to be fun at the track. Now at 339, it's gonna be a whole different ball game. So it's gonna be interesting to do a comparison between the two.
Can I make a suggestion to you?
Yeah.
Put a single plane high rise on it.
On the big block?
On the 339.
Oh, it's gonna have a single plane high rise. It's an old Eldebrock 4+4. It's an old school single plane high rise intake. It's for high RPM stuff.
Night, Dad. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm way behind on the chat.
My dad just put a comment. He's going to bed. So.
Good night. We'll see you later. Thanks Thanks for joining in. PRM.
The reason I was saying to run the high rise is because that's a cheater way to get torque out of a small block.
Yeah.
The longer your intake runners are, the more torque you'll build.
Yep. It'll have a pretty good high rise, and we might play around with spacer size.
Well,
I got 1 inch or 2 inch.
Are you gonna run nitrous on that too?
On the 339?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's actually the first engine I've ever built specifically to run nitrous.
Well,
or any type of boost. It's
the reason I was asking is, are you gonna run a fogger or a plate?
It's a plate.
I don't remember exactly what it is, but where you put spacers with a plate, you can change performance, like how good it does with nitrous versus like putting the plate over the plate, putting the spacer over the plate versus putting it under the plate and vice versa. I don't remember what it is, but.
Okay, well, crap. Because actually that is a question I have had because I've seen it done both ways. And to me, in my mind, it makes more sense to have the plate on top of the spacer so you have better atomization and everything.
A larger volume of air coming through the plate would be my thought on it.
But if you have it below the spacer, then you've got that bar in the middle because if it's right underneath the carburetor, that bar is it don't affect anything because it's hidden. It's right underneath your base plate, your carburetor. If you have the nitrous plate under the open spacer, then you've got that bar in the middle that might affect air distribution. I don't know. I've never actually contacted anybody like Nitrous Express or anybody to see what they suggest.
I have a book, and I don't remember who makes it, what it's called, whatever, but I know exactly where it is. So I'll take a picture of it and I'll message it to you.
Yeah.
But it is basically a How to Nitrous for Dummies book, and it tells you everything step by step about anything you ever want to know about nitrous.
Yeah.
And I've used it many times in the past, and it's been really helpful.
So another thing I learned, and of course the guys with the dyno, Clayton Land that ran the dyno, he's done a lot of things. He's one of those guys. He doesn't really tell everybody where he's been or what he's done, but he's worked with some big dogs. And he's seen my whole setup. He didn't have anything negative to say about it. And then especially after, because we spent a lot of time that wasn't on film checking the system over, making sure I had all my ducks in a row for the nitrous system, making sure because I got a standalone fuel system just for the nitrous system. Had to make sure the pump was working correctly, make sure the solenoids were working, make sure my fuel pressure was correct for the nitrous plate. And I didn't think to ask him at the time about the plate placement, but he's seen my whole system because on this big block I've got it's just an old Torquer 2 open intake. It's not a real high rise open plenum intake, but it is open in plenum. So I got 2-inch spacer, and then from the 2-inch spacer, then I got my nitrous plate, and then the carburetor right on top of the nitrous plate. And according, I got 150 shot jets in it.
I don't know why, but for some reason it keeps circling back in my head that you should have your spacer on top of your plate.
Yeah, and I've seen it both ways.
Well, my thought process is if you got a plate with your spray bar going across, then you're blocking off your spray bar when your butterfly's open on your carburetor. because here's your butterflies right here and your spray bars right here, and you open the throttle up and come down, you're spraying your nitrous on top of your throttle blades.
Now the spray bar goes front to back in between the throttle blades, and the fuel and nitrous points angles down. So whenever the throttle blade's open, it's actually working with the flow of the nitrous and stuff coming out of the spray bar, because it's right in the middle.
Right.
But when we were leading up to making the nitrous pool, he said, you got 150 shot jets in it. We know the timing should be close. Of course, we had to back the timing off. He said, and we made a baseline pull with the timing backed off, so we knew exactly how much horsepower we were gaining with the nitrous plate with the timing backed off, and we made like 148 horsepower with the nitrous plate with 150 shot jet in it. So, he said, if you're making that close to what the jets are, the system is working the best it possibly could work. And the AFRs were just little bit on the fat side. He said we could lean out the fuel side of the nitrous plate and probably pick up a couple horsepower and actually be over 150 horse shot. But I said I'm going to stay on the fat and happy side.
My motto for nitrous has always been rich girls are cheap.
Yes, fat and happy.
Yep. So I thought that nitrous book I was telling you about was at my shop, but I actually think it's right over here. So let me go check real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. All right, Steve, I appreciate the donation. Man, that's awesome. I can't express how I appreciate that. It's just, that means the world to me. It really does. Yeah, on the ZR1, I'm not super familiar with it. If it's like the tune port, I know they just peak out really quick. They don't.
Personally, I would like the 80s Z4 ZR1 Lotus motor with long runners. They get crazy torque. Yeah, but
they peak out pretty quick.
Well, my experience with those is they're smog motors, and they're choked out really, really bad.
Because the heads I was gonna originally use on this 305 were 87 tune port aluminum vet heads.
Yeah, they're choked.
And they were better than, they're the best small block heads I had.
Yeah.
And I was going to have to do a lot of work to them to get them opened up. But what I did find out about those tune port engines is they were choked up, and they were only designed to make power up to, like, I want to say 45 to 5,000 RPM.
Yeah.
They were low revving torque engines. And that's not what I was going for with the 305 or 339.
I had a buddy that had an 84 Corvette, and smog motor. It was choked down 350, and I had just that Blazer I was telling you about that I built. I had a tunnel ram with dual Edelbrock 500s on it. And I decided to get rid of it and go with a single plane with a single double pumper. And my buddy was like, "Oh, I'll trade you this other 84 Corvette that I got if you'll put that tunnel ram and dual carbs on my Corvette." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And I did it. And he hit 140 mile an hour real quick on the highway on the way home, and he put the car up for sale the next day.
Yeah.
Because that made that car breathe and turned it loose, and it was stupid scary. So What's your guys' experience with 4x4 conversions? I've never done one.
I honestly haven't either. It's not, if you have the parts. I'm assuming going with a 2-wheel drive frame to make it a 4-wheel drive. If you have the parts, it's not that hard. The front, you'll have to drill a big enough hole in the frame for the rear shackle bushing to go through. The rear, you have to get the rear shackles or shackle hangers,
Yes.
spring hangers, because they're taller to make the rear end match.
Not only that, but they're different. The spring pad on the rear end's a different width.
Nope, not on the 4-wheel drive. It's just the 1-tons.
Oh, okay.
On square bodies.
Yeah.
The 4-wheel drives are the same. It's just when you get to the 1-ton.
That's right. That's right. The 2-wheel drive, 3/4 and 1-tons are different, and the hangers on the 4x4s are different. Thinking of swapping. 98 should already have the spider fuel injection, right, Steve? I wouldn't get rid of it. That's a good setup.
Go 140 going home would be a dream, yeah.
Not in a 2,800-pound car. If I would have had a YouTube channel 10 years ago, I'm sitting here, reminiscing about stuff, and we were talking about putting that tunnel ram on that Corvette.
Yeah.
And it was a T-top car, or yeah, pretty sure it was T-tops, or what's that top called where the whole section comes out?
I know what you're talking about.
Target top or whatever.
Yeah, target top.
It was either that or T-top. I don't remember, but I remember when I first got the tunnel ram put on that thing, the car had been sitting for a while, and we reused the old throttle cable. And when we took it for a test drive, he tried to mat it to the floor, and it hadn't been matted to the floor yet, and it broke the throttle cable about 5 miles from my house. So I was riding in the passenger seat, and I got up and stood on the passenger seat and reached down over the windshield and ran the throttle. And it was a manual car. So he's got the steering wheel and the shifter, and I'm reaching up over the windshield, running the throttle on this thing, and we drove it like 5 miles back to my house down the highway like that.
That's YouTube gold right there.
I'm telling you. I mean, if I'd have started a YouTube channel when I got out of high school, there'd have been plenty of YouTube gold. We used to blow our friends up with airbags without them knowing that they were getting blown up by an airbag. Yeah. Dirt track racing. Hell, we put on a special show at the dirt track one night, and we flipped a school bus. I had replaced my spider injection last week. It had made my truck hard to start and idle. Mileage got about 7 miles per gallon. All right, so spider injection, only issue I know of with those is the tips at the end of the plastic tubes clog up. Take them out, soak them in chem dip for a couple hours, put them back together, and they will run like they've never ran before, and your gas mileage will go through the roof. Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry I stepped out to get something to eat. I'm not eating anything all day. I've been taking care of my dad. Sorry to hear about your dad, bud. Hope it gets better.
Yeah.
Speaking of school bus there, and Sam, you're going to ride me on that school bus until I make another video on it, aren't you? 1998 has the old spider setup with the poppet valves at the heads. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about soaking, is those poppet valves. They get plugged up real bad. And that thing that the update that he's talking about is really nice. Really nice. That
Yeah.
It's not changing out the whole setup. It just puts an injector in place of the spider leg. It's a good deal. Tips on mine had cracked and it was dumping too much fuel. Yeah, that makes sense then. K&N cut back 373 Black Bear. Got out Pennywise for bus parts. Yeah, that ain't never gonna happen. So Chad, you've never seen Pennywise before. The reason I named it Pennywise is because when I got that truck, it had a transmission in it. It had the cab, the core support, and the bed, and that was it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I do know the truck you're talking about. When you said your crew cab, I remember I've seen the pictures and I may have watched a little bit of the videos on it, but I do know the truck. Yeah.
It's a 74.
Yeah.
But the fenders and the hood are off a 79 3/4 ton, and they were dark blue. And the doors are off an 85 Suburban. So the front doors, I switched out to manual regulators so I could roll them up and down. The back doors still have power regulators that aren't hooked up, so I can't even roll the windows up and down. The driver and passenger doors don't have any armrest or door pull, so you got to stick your fingers in between the glass and the door panel. Shut it.
My crew cab was the same way. I don't have an armrest on the driver's side, and you have to do that with in between the window or whatever.
Yeah.
So I finally took an old serpentine belt, cut it about 12 inches, and roofing screws through the door panel where the factory door pull would be. Best upgrade to that truck ever. An old serpentine belt.
So when I first got Pennywise, I bought it because I'm still going to do this someday, but I've got this thing in my mind about making a dually Suburban what I consider to be the right way. Okay. You can get kits to make dually Suburbans, and I've seen 100 dually Suburbans, but all the kits and everybody that's done them, the dually fender, the front of the dually fender matches the back door jamb on the back door. And that drives me freaking nuts. I'm going to build a dually Suburban, what I consider Chevy would have done if they made them from the factory. And I'm going to center the dually rear end in the back window and do all the body work and all the frame modifications and everything to make it. But anyways, I bought Pennywise for, I think, $300. Somebody had taken it. They took the motor and they had taken it apart to paint it, and they had jammed the doors, but that was it. And they stopped. The old man died, whatever. So I bought it for the rear end because it was only $300. I wanted the dually rear end for the dually Suburban I was going to build.
Yeah.
Then my nephew wanted a crew cab dually, so we started throwing it together. Like I said, I was buying every square body for $1,000 or less. So when I decided to move from Texas to Alabama, I had 32 square bodies in my yard.
Woo.
And I just I ended up having to get rid of them all because you can't move 32 trucks across 4 states. So, but anyways, so I had trucks that I was using for parts. So I got a front clip, I got doors, I grabbed, it's got conversion seats out of a 85 truck that was a conversion truck. It's got the seats for the front seats. It's got the stock seat for the back seat. Yada, yada, yada. But I was renting a shop that I had like a, open door auto repair business. And I had all my stuff over there. Well, COVID hit and we had my 2-year-old and all that stuff all at the same time. And we just decided, hey, get rid of the shop that we're renting and I'll start working out of the shop at my house. Well, Pennywise wouldn't fit on my 18-foot steel deck car trailer. So I had to find a way to get it from my shop to my house. Well, I had a 250 inline 6 that I pulled out of a 82 long bed and sitting in the corner of my shop, and I knew that it ran because I drove the truck there before we pulled it out. So we took that 250 inline 6 and stuck it in that dually, with the granny low 4-speed and the 456 gears. And my nephew drove that truck around with that 250 inline 6 in it for 6-8 months. And finally, one day on his way home, it blew the ring glands off the number 1 cylinder and pumped all the oil out into the engine compartment. But yeah, and then it got a 6.2 diesel that had issues and never went right. My nephew played with it for a little while, and then I got the truck back from him and put the big block in it, and that's what it's had ever since. But that truck never been finished getting put together, and it's been all over the country. I took it from Fort Worth, Texas to south of Daytona Beach, Florida, and back. It made 9 trips from Texas to Alabama to move. It's been up to north of Chicago to pick RJ up from my parents' house. I mean, it's been everywhere. No LS swap comments yet. Swap everything for an LS. You ain't gonna get no swapping an LS from me.
No. Negatory, Ghost Rider.
I
mean, I have one possible at this moment in time. I've only got one possible way I would swap an LS into a square body, but it may or may not happen. So I'm not even gonna say much more about it. But I do have one idea, and there'd be a good reason behind it. But not that I hate the LS. It's just not for me. Not this whole swap thing.
See, I have an all aluminum 6.2 LS sitting in my shop that I've had for a while, and I am going to put that in one of my projects on my channel, but it's not necessarily for me. It's an idea that a family member had that's helped me out a lot, so I want to do it for him. So, but
learn to drive the standard.
Ever finished. Man, you guys I can't believe how many people are still hanging around in this thing commenting. Been talking for like 3.5 hours now.
Yeah, this particular live, the after hours is 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We started at 7 and it's 10:30.
Yeah, but it's not big numbers watching, but I appreciate every one of you coming in here. And there's a lot of names in the live chat that I don't recognize. I'm assuming they're coming from your side of the platform.
Night, Jeff. Thanks for coming in, bud.
Yep.
Sam said he's from Arizona or something. So 7 o'clock for us was probably like 5 o'clock for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. There's your trade.
No, he wants the motor for his car.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
The thing about that is I got a smoking deal on that motor. I couldn't afford to let it go. Those things are worth about $3,800. I couldn't afford to buy another one if I got rid of it.
Yeah. All right, so I've got a question for you, Aaron.
Yes.
If it's a project you don't want to divulge any information on, we'll just move on to something else. But on last week's live, you hit me up with a question about the vinyl roof on a 73.
That is the guy that I built Groundskeeper for owns that truck.
Okay.
He's one of them guys that goes out and finds the deals nobody else can find on a damn square body and then sells it for money that nobody else can get for it. I don't know how he does it. He calls me up all the time. What's this worth? And I'm like, I'd say you'd be lucky if you get this much. Okay. Calls me back 2 weeks later. Oh, I sold it for like $4,000 more than you said I could get for it. And I'm like, well, you found an idiot then, because I don't know how the hell, but
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all original except it was originally a 350 truck and somebody pulled the 350 out and stuck a 292 in it. And he just wants to flip it. I'm trying to convince him to take the 292 out of it and put a 350 back in it because it'll bring better money with the 350. And I want the 292, and they're not easy to come by. So I don't know if I'll ever be doing anything with that truck. It may get sold. It may come to my shop so I can put a 350 in it. We talked about putting the 350 in it and lowering it and stuff so it could bring really good money. But I don't know if it'll ever come to anything or not. So
yeah, I was just that vinyl roof option being on the RPO, the SPID. That's very, very, very intriguing to me because I do geek out about the whole RPO codes and I looked on GM Heritage website, which is where I get pretty much all my information for RPO codes or what options were available to even be ordered with these trucks, and
it's not even on there.
No, it's like one of those codes. The only thing I could think of and piece together in my mind is whoever ordered that truck or whoever from the dealership that ordered that truck from GM knew what box to check, and it's like basically a COPO type thing, central order production, central office production order.
Well, see, the thing about it is that truck wasn't special ordered because it didn't have an order number on the SPID sheet.
Really,
it was not a special order truck, because I'm sure you're familiar with it. But if it was a special order truck, it'll say order number, like on the second column over.
Yeah.
Toward the bottom, it'll say order number and have like a number that starts with CC or CO.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't have that, which I mean, they could have not had that in 73, but I have a hard time believing that they started it at a different time. But
yeah.
So when I really started looking at the pictures and then thought back on it, the description said simulated vinyl top. And if you look at I sent you the pictures, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you really zoom in on them really close and look at them, it looks like the simulated vinyl top was painted on. It almost looks like like the old flat roofs back in the day when they like put that tar on them to seal them. It's pretty thick, but it looks like it was painted on.
I think that's the way the Blazers. I'm thinking of no.
They did it in the 67 to 72 pickups.
Okay.
They had the black painted roofs and then whatever color the body color was.
Huh. Yeah, and that would make sense because that was possibly kind of a carryover from the previous generation.
And that RPO code, it's I think it was YG3. It's kind of slipping my mind right now.
It's still on my whiteboard. It is definitely YG3.
So if you look up RPO codes, YG3 will come up for different trim packages and stuff like that. So YG3 is an actual code, but I could not find anything anywhere. Have you ever heard the name Tony Key?
No, I haven't.
Tony Key owns Texas Square Bodies out of Wilson, Texas. You ever heard of that?
No.
He is a private individual with a private piece of land, and he has well over 100 square bodies that he parts out. If you need square body parts and Tony don't have them, you ain't going to find them. He's been
Sounds like I need to get to know this guy.
He's been doing this since the mid to late 80s. And the first thing he does every time he brings a new truck in is check the SPID sheet.
Yeah.
And he has never seen that on a SPID sheet.
Yeah. Sounds like I need to get to know this guy. See, that early on, like in the first part of this live, we're talking about our YouTube channels and kind of, what we were wanting to do in the beginning and where we're going. And one of the things I'd like to do in the future is to buy a plane ticket to Texas and go, or anywhere, and see guys like this guy. Hold on,
Yeah.
my phone's acting up. Bear with me.
He's a pretty good guy, and if you reach out to him on like Facebook Messenger, he'll get back to you. I used to go out to his place and do some work for him and stuff, and we always got along pretty good.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Most of these guys, it just be a matter of getting a hold of them. But on my end of things,
now he builds his own trucks too, and he likes white. He likes white 81 to 87 square bodies, and if you want a white part for an 81 to 87 square body, you ain't getting it. I mean, that's all there is to it, and I don't blame him. I mean, he builds his own truck, so he keeps the parts that he's going to want and need to build his trucks.
Yeah,
which, I mean, that's just.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah. Now you want a Suburban bumper for your pickup? Nope, you ain't gonna get it. So, you boys visit Texas, I'll have a home cooked meal waiting for you. What part of Texas you from, Hunter? I just moved there. I just moved away from Texas a year and a half ago. Yes, RPOs are in the glove box on the square bodies. It's called the spid sheet. It's the blue and white sticker in the glove box, if it's still there.
So, on that 73, is it in the glove box?
Yes.
Okay. Here's an interesting thing. My first truck was a 73 custom 10. It was your basic white truck, white bumpers. Just the only options it had was air conditioning, as far as and power steering and power brakes and 350. But it was your basic white work truck. But the spid sheet was on the driver's side inner fender. I've seen a few trucks that had the spid sheet on the driver's side inner fender.
I've seen them there too, and even in the 81 to 87 models, I've seen them.
Really, I haven't seen the later ones like that.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them on the inner fenders, and I've seen more on the inner fenders in the 81 to 87s than I have on the 70s.
And my experience is just the opposite. I've never seen one later than that 73. And personally, well, I've never seen an 80s model with it on the inner fender. It's always been in the glove box.
Hunter, the bear hunters from Pflugerville. I worked there for a little while. That's down by Austin.
Pflugerville.
Yeah.
My real dad lives in Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
Where my wife and I, Mrs. Squarebody and I, are planning on a trip to Canton, Texas this summer to go to that big.
Oh, you're gonna go first Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love flea markets and stuff like that.
You're gonna love it, but bring a baseball bring a baseball bat and a wagon. You're gonna need a baseball bat to fight off the old ladies with the cigarettes hanging out of their mouth, and the wagon to carry all the crap back to your truck.
Well, I've got the wagon, and I'm not too worried about the little ladies. I'll stick Mrs. Squarebody on them.
Oh, good luck.
So they're putting a 454 in S10.
See, I was reading that and I went to get on it, but we got distracted talking about other stuff. I would totally put a 454 in an S10, but I would not do it in a 4x4.
Yeah, that's gonna be gonna be tough with your clearance on your differential.
Not only that, but most of them 4x4s are torsion bar front suspension.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, my oldest boy, he's into the S10 platform. Let's see what this one day I take that off the truck. I don't know if it'd be a paint code or, I would like to know more than I do about,
The paint
handwritten stuff.
The paint code was usually written like kind of bottom driver's side of the brake booster on the firewall.
Yeah.
The big number on the back of the cab was usually either long bed or short bed, or sliding or non-sliding rear window.
I was kind of going through the chat. That's why they're silent.
I was trying to find a picture in my phone to send to you.
So talk about RPO codes and that kind of stuff. That 79 that I drive, my daily driver, Cream Puff, when I got it, it's got power brakes, power steering. It was originally a 305 truck. It's got 350 in it now. But the first thing I noticed about that truck when I got in it to take it for a test drive is it had the small brake pedal, like a standard.
Non-power brakes.
Yes. And it didn't dawn on me at that moment. I was like, why would they put the standard transmission brake pedal in there? And I didn't think much about it till I pulled the seat out and found the build sheet about 85-90% of the build sheet still underneath the seat. And I started going through the build sheet, and it was originally ordered with manual brakes.
Yeah.
Had power steering, turbo 400 transmission, 305, 276 gears. But the manual brakes was like, oh, that's why it's got that pedal.
And somebody had switched it over. Somebody had put a booster in it and still left that pedal in there.
Yeah, and I think the ratios are different as far as the pin, where the pin placement is on that on the brake pedal, if I remember right.
It's the rod. It's the rod that goes from the booster to the pedal, and the diameter of the rod where it goes over the pin.
But I can't remember if the pin location is in a different spot as far as the pivot point for like the ratio to be different from power to manual. Because it's always had, like, even I went through the brakes to make sure everything's good, but it's always had a little more travel than what it should. Of course, it's just the standard brakes. But that's just one of those interesting things I found out about that truck whenever I got it, that it was ordered with manual brakes.
Yeah. Well, that was the weird thing about Groundskeeper when I started looking into it after I found out it was special ordered for the college, is it was inline 6, power steering, AC, manual brakes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's the weirdest combination. Short bed, inline 6, power steering, AC, manual brakes. That's weird option.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, of course, this my short bed, my step side here. It was original F44 Big 10 truck.
Yeah.
With the 250 inline 6, granular 4-speed, non-air conditioning. It was custom deluxe base trim package. the russet metallic brown color. I wish they wouldn't have messed with. Well, the cab is the only thing original to the truck that I could tell. The doors have been replaced, the fenders and the hood have all been replaced, and the bed's a different. Actually, the bed's a 70. They changed the beds. I think it's 76, 77. The tail lights. They got the round headlights or round tail lights.
73 and 74 had the round tail lights, and 73 for sure, and maybe 74 had the red marker lights in the step side fenders.
Yeah, I was thinking that carried on up to 76, but crap.
I'm pretty sure the marker lights in the dually fenders was 73, or in the step side fenders was 73, 74 only.
Okay.
And I think the round tail lights carried through 76, and then they switched to square.
Okay, so that may be at the round tail lights, but the marker lights. This has got the marker lights in the fenders.
Yeah. So I've got a bed sitting on one of my trucks at my shop that's got the marker lights in the fenders, and it came off of a 74, and another truck that I built long step was a 73, and it had the markers.
Yeah.
But every piece of long step was a full on customized restoration. Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Every single piece of that truck was new or different. And when I was looking for the red marker lights to go in there, because they're not the same ones that are in the dualies. The dually ones won't fit.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because on the round eyes, the 73 to 80s, the front fender markers
are
different than the dually ones, the dually fender ones.
I knew they're like a different reflector, but I always thought they were the same shape. I've never actually.
Okay, so they will fit, but they're not right.
Okay.
And the red markers that go in the step side fenders on the 73, 74 step side beds are the same as the fender markers on the 73 to 80 front fenders that are amber. So you can take a red dually one and put it in there, but it doesn't fit the hole perfect like if you get the right one.
Okay. The more you know. Another interesting thing I found out about the step sides is they had two different hole placements for the fuel filler.
Well, in 73 to 77, I think it was, had just the
they were
fuel
lower
hanging out, and 78 went to a fuel door. And
now 79 went to fuel door
on the fleet side. They went to the door on the step side in 77, 78. Because I had a factory 77 step side with a factory bed that had a fuel door in the fender.
Huh. I'm learning all sorts of stuff about square bodies.
I know more than I want to. I don't know it all, and I'll never claim to know it all, but I've gathered quite a bit over my years.
Because I've actually seen pictures with the round hole.
Yep.
I've seen pictures of some that were higher, and then some that are low, like mine. Mine's like really low.
Yeah,
and then they had the higher ones.
Well, see, 73, 74, 73, 74. Everything is different from 75.
Okay, so that does make sense.
If you start looking into it, like 73, 74 door panels are 73, 74 specific. The armrests are specific. The dash pads are a little bit different.
Yeah. The actual dash underneath, the metal part underneath is different.
It's a little bit different. Yeah.
It doesn't have the ribs in it. It's smooth.
Right, and it has two braces that bolt to the firewall that they don't have in the other ones.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of I mean, the bodies are the same, but there's a lot of screw on and bolt on things that are different in
Yeah.
73, 74 than 75 to 80.
So I guess on the fuel filler, 73, 74 would be the low one. 76, 75 and 6 would be
up. They moved it up.
And then 77, they actually went to the fuel door on the step side.
I don't know if it's on all of them, but I did have a 77 with the original bed on it that had a fuel door.
And on the fleet side, it was 79 was the first year for that.
Fleet side 79 was the first year. And I know for a fact that I started building another truck, and the person took it back before we finished because of some conflict of interest, but it was a 78 step side that had a fuel door, and it was the original bed. So I'm thinking sometime in 77 they switched to a door on the step sides.
That's odd. So I've never run across that in any of it. I mean, that's cool. That's cool information to know, because that's the other thing I like to do with my channel. Being square body specific is have this type of information firsthand to share with people. If you're wanting to build an original, 77 step side, it would have. I would think before tonight, I would think it needs the high non-marker fenders with the round hole for the fuel.
And it might, like I said, it might. I mean, maybe only the Scottsdale or Silverado package, or Cheyenne package or whatever came with the fuel door. I don't know. They were weird about that stuff.
Yeah,
but
that could be too. Because that brings me another thing on that 73 with the simulated vinyl top.
Yep.
I noticed in the pictures it has a drip rail.
Yes.
But 73, that wasn't even an option.
Yes, it was.
Not in 73.
It was a dealer option.
Okay, a dealer option.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you find a dealer option, because that long step was the first truck that I built when I moved to Alabama, and it was actually a long bed step side. That's why I named it long step. But it was a 73, and it had dealer option drip rails on it. And if you look at those drip rails, they're not the same as the ones that came as an option when they started optioning them out.
Yeah. See. Okay, that's where the literature I've read was that 73 wasn't even an option, even a dealer option. But in 74, it was an option, like an RPO code. You could get it from the factory with or without drip rails. But it's a dealer option in 73.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think a truck was sold in Texas without drip rails, honestly.
Yeah.
I've never.
Well, I know of one. I know of one. My first truck at 73.
I probably worked my way through 60 trucks when I lived in Texas, and I don't think a single one of them didn't have drip rails.
Yeah. I remember my 73, the first truck I had. My dad bought it in 75. And it was all original then. And it had a Texas, the bumper had the thin steel bumper that had the dealer name in it. And I remember it was from Texas.
That's the bumper that's on my dually.
Yeah. I wish I would have kept that bumper, but 30 years ago, we didn't think about keeping those. They were just scrap metal back then.
Actually, RJ, my white truck's got that style bumper on it too, and they both have Texas dealerships stamped in them.
Yeah. So I know my 73 originally came from Texas, and I vaguely remember the story my dad gave me. I think he actually bought it when he was in Texas for basic training for the Air Force. Is a really high mileage truck. The guy bought, or maybe he bought it in Missouri, and the guy originally bought it and ordered it with the options it had because he just wanted a basic truck with air conditioning, and it had 276 gears because he was driving it back and forth from Texas to Missouri, delivering stuff. I don't remember the exact story, but I know it was a high mileage truck for being 2 years old.
Yeah.
But then again, I was young when I was hearing these stories, so I may not remember all of it, but I do know that it didn't have drip rails. And
so the thing about the drip rails, the reason they didn't have them in 73 except for the dealer option, and they became a screw-on at that point, is because Chevy decided when they switched over to the square body style, they were going to get rid of the drip rails because all the 60s trucks, the drip rails were formed into the roofs and they would hold water and rot the roofs out. Water would get down in the inner structure and rust the roof out. So Chevy said, well, we don't want our roofs rotting off anymore, so we're going to do away with the drip rails. Well, then they came out with the square body in 73 without a drip rail. And if you notice, 73 without the drip rail is the only year that has the extra piece of foam at the top of the door.
Yeah.
For weather stripping.
Yep.
That's because every time it rained, Drake and Niagara Falls came in the top of the door. And then they came out with the screw-on drip rails and said, oh, well, we'll just drill 6 holes in each side of your truck instead of molding the drip rail. And then it won't rust out, right?
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we're not going to put down no 3M tape or silicone or nothing. We're just going to ram some self-tappers in the roof of your truck. And every set of drip rails I've took off has been dented where the screws went in. Probably from the factory.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm about to turn in.
Yeah, I need to be getting to bed. I've been up for
30 hours now.
About 26 hours now, but
it's back at work at 7:30 in the morning.
I gotta be at work at 7.
And how long does it take you to get to work?
Well, it's only 4 miles, but it takes me about 10 minutes because I got gravel road. So it's not that big of a deal. And I'm used to getting no sleep.
Well, you just made a comment. You just made a comment about, when you went to get a drive shaft done, if they'd get it done that day, you just wait in town. So I figured you lived out in the middle of nowhere, so you might have a drive to work.
Oh, no. Where I work is the town closest to me, just 4 miles away. But the town where the drive shaft is, it's about 30 miles away.
Cool. Yeah, I like where I live. It's 25 miles to anywhere near civilization other than the town that I live in. So,
yeah, I mean it's fine, but the town we live closest to has pretty much a little bit of nothing.
Yeah, that's the way the town I live is. It's got a gas station and a Dollar General, and that's about it.
Well, we've got 2 Casey's general stores, gas stations, best pizza in the world.
Yeah.
And we got a Dollar General, we got a Sonic, and a Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
One stoplight.
We got one stoplight, but we don't have any chain restaurants at all.
Yeah.
We got a Dollar General. They just built a Family Dollar Tree, two in one store. Then we got the gas. No, seriously, it's a Family Dollar Tree. It's both stores in one.
I think we got one in the next town over that's got the same thing.
And then we got a gas station that's got a little, they call it a deli in it, and they say their slogan is biggest, best burger in town, and that's because they're the only people that sell a burger in town.
Hey, got the market cornered there. Yeah, our town's what, 20 2,200 people.
Yeah,
something like that.
We're less than 900.
Oh yeah, yeah. Pretty small.
Closest Walmart's 27 miles away. So
mine's about 15 miles away, which we very rarely go to the Big W anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I really appreciate, and it was kind of short notice, but I really appreciate you coming on here and doing this. Is your first live.
Yeah.
Right.
First live I've ever done.
Well, you handled it like a champ, especially when I just stepped away for no apparent reason at one point in time until I come back and told you a reason. But you handled it. It was great having you on.
You walked out in the yard and fell asleep, and your wife had to come out and catch you and wake you up.
Yeah. And again, thanks for everybody that's still here in the chat, live chat, hanging out with us. Dan, looks like Hunter the Bear,
Hunter,
Shadow Up, yeah, Steve.
Sam still hanging out somewhere, or did he drop off on us?
I don't see any comments for a little while. He may have walked out.
It'd be nice if they made a list of like who was in the chat or showed you who was watching, even if they weren't commenting. Because there's people I thought we lost, like my dad. I thought we lost him at the beginning of the first live, and no, he was in both of them and never said nothing.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the cool thing about it. Is you never really know who's actually watching. See, like right now, it's showing I got 8 people, but I don't know if that's 8 people watching or 8 people in the chat, or not 7. We lost one, but it'll bounce around. But like we said earlier, these 7 people.
4 hours later.
While we're still here, and hanging out, because Jacob Carter's still here, and there we go. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my camera's reversed for me, so it gets awkward. This guy's channel, Harmon Garage. Everybody that's not subscribed to Harmon Garage, actually, I think you've probably brought more people to the chat than my channel did. But if you're not subscribed to Harmon Garage, go hit the like, share, subscribe buttons, all those things for his channel. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do the same for me. It's been an awesome evening. It's really been cool for me to hang out more with Mr. Harmon here and getting to know him a little bit better. And who knows what this will bring in the future. Like I said, the Big Booty Judy project coming up in August. If you could swing it, you're more than welcome to come up and hang out. Lend a hand, hang out, because I remember. A little side note.
That's a tall. That's a tall order to get that list of work done in 2 days.
It is.
I don't really know Brad all that well. Is he pretty mechanically inclined, or is this pretty much going to be you doing the work and him helping when he can?
No, it's not going to be me. We've already got several. Well, I say several. A few other channels on board.
Oh, you guys already. I thought it was just you and him.
No, for right now, I've got. Trying to think now. Mine went just totally blank for a second. Buff with Buff's Garage. Of course, he was there with me at the truck gathering.
I'm surprised he wasn't on tonight. He's usually in the live chats.
He's probably working. This is probably his one night or couple nights to work. Let's say goodnight to Hunter the Bear. Hunter, thanks for stopping in, buddy.
Thanks for coming in.
So we got Buff. He's going to show, or planning on showing up. Of course, we all know you can't count on, anything happening until it actually happens. But Buff, Steve with Big Block 402 channel, Jacob with Busted Grill Garage, I think Travis and Amber from Perpetual Projects, which they're kind of in your neck of the woods from Huntsville, Alabama, or just south of Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
They're going to try to make it up. Who else was it? I think there's a couple others that I'm forgetting right now. So we're going to have, it's going to be more than just me, I hope. So yeah, but
well, it gets to well, for me anyways, it gets to be too much if there's too many people around.
Well,
it actually turns into more of a hassle than help. So
I'm right there with you, and that's one of the things that's kind of immediately overwhelmed me. I'll send you. I can't remember if I send you an invite on Facebook Messenger to we've got a chat thing going on just for that project, and I'll send you an invite to that or add you to that. That way you kind of keep up on it. I think Ugly Truck Experience, they're fairly local to me, so they might try to show up and help out if they can. So hopefully it's not just going to be me doing all of it.
Well, if it was going to be
me and Brad,
if it was going to be just you, I'd probably see what I could do to make it happen getting up there. But if there's going to be 10 people. There's going to be 10 people. I don't need to make the trip up there.
Well, you know what? It's a little ways away. We got some time to think about it, but also think about it from this angle. It can make some decent YouTube content as a collaboration.
Oh, it'd make real good content. But if you got six or seven channels on there, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, buddy. How am I gonna? Because this is gonna be in my little shop, and I feel a huge responsibility of trying to make everything happen. But it's not going to be all on me. I'm going to be focused on, the truck and make sure, I've got to host everybody. I've got a big yard, plenty of field. You can pitch a tent, whatever you want to do.
Well, not only that, but for you, pretty much anybody that comes there is going to be using your tools and everything because, they're not going to have all their own stuff. So you're going to be telling people where to find tools and making sure shit stays organized and
So I'm gonna actually ask anybody to bring their own tools. Don't bring everything you got, but your basic stuff. Some of your favorite stuff, whatever. Your basic stuff to help out with because I don't have enough tools.
I've got a little DeWalt bag that came with my cordless drill that I carry around in whatever truck I'm driving at the time. And I can just about rebuild a square body with what I got in that bag.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about it.
Basic wrenches, basic screwdrivers, couple Allen wrenches, couple Torx bits, channel locks, crescent wrench, and a pocket knife.
Vice grips, channel locks, some duct tape, baling wire. We can get a square body down the road, but if anybody could bring their own tools, that would help out because I've got a bunch of duplicates and extras, but if everybody's going to be needing the 9/16, I don't have 5 or 6 of them.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting, and I'm trying not to get overwhelmed by it, but I'm also to the point now. It's like we got to make it happen.
Yeah.
It may be one of those things where we get the truck here and say, okay, we're going to focus on the 2 big things maybe, and if we can get to the other things, not get everything started all at once because that could be a big mess. Because we could have, I forget what all I listed that was going to do to the truck or he wants done to the truck. If we get all of those things started and none of them finished, that's a big mess.
Well, not only that, but when he's only making plans to be there for like 3 days, he get the truck all torn apart and it ain't back together 2-3 days later, he can't leave.
Yeah. Well, and if that happens, we'll have a contingency plan of, you know, Brad's his truck is gonna be the star of the show. Brad's gonna be kind of the star, I guess, as far as the biggest guest. And if it comes down to it, if he needs to stay an extra couple days so him and I could finish up the truck, we could do something like that. But it's going to be interesting to try to get it done because he's going to be bringing the truck back down 2 weeks later for the C10 truck show in Springfield, Missouri. So
how far are you from there?
About an hour.
I wonder if it wouldn't be a better idea for him to put something. Well, no, I mean, in all seriousness, this might be something to talk to him about. But what if he put one of his other vehicles or something on a trailer behind his truck?
Yeah.
And brought it down to your place, and then when he went back home, he could drive the other vehicle home, and then he could come back down for the show, and his truck would already be there.
That is a.
And then he just loads whatever he drove back and forth back up on the trailer and goes back home.
That would be a very good contingency plan and a good plan.
Even if the truck is done. I mean, if he's got a car that gets decent gas mileage, it'd beat the hell out of driving that Dually back up to Minnesota and back.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some time to kind of work out some details and some bugs. The sniper thing, the pros and cons of the sniper project. I've got more concerns about that than I do the drive shaft deal with the gear vendors.
Yeah.
If it comes down to it, I could build a drive shaft on my table that'll get him by.
Do you have a press?
No, I don't have a press, but
not even like a regular cheapo Harbor Freight press or nothing.
No. Well, I could probably borrow my son's, bring it out here.
The reason I'm asking is because the best setup blocks for making your own drive shaft is the plates.
V blocks.
The press. You set them in the V's of the plates, and it's perfect.
I used to have a set of V's that were just plate steel V's that I weld to my table when I was building the drive shaft. And with that, if we shorten it, I'm going to shorten it on the end of. If I have to shorten it on my table, I'm going to shorten it on the end that's got the spline. That way I could put a dial on it.
Right.
I'm not going to cut the yoke off.
Right.
Because that's harder to dial in than the spline shaft.
Right.
But yeah, I've got a little lathe here, so if we need to turn something down to make a sleeve to dial off of or something, we could do that. But I think we can make it work.
It's definitely doable, but you're going to have 3 or 4 people that really know. Well, at least 2 people that really know what they're doing, and they're going to have to put in some like 18-hour days to get it done.
Yeah, we're the other thing is, if I'm hosting, we got to make sure everybody's fed. Make sure
Casey's
accommodations. Pizza. Do what?
Casey's Pizza.
Yeah, Casey's Pizza. Mrs. Squarebody's going to do what she can to, maybe run back and forth to town to get pizza for everybody, or, whatever kind of food we can, just keep everybody fed and everybody happy and keep everybody going, because it's going to be.
Your closest part store is probably 20, 25 miles away too, right?
Oh no, we've got 2. We've got a bumper to bumper parts house and O'Reilly's.
Okay.
5 miles away.
If you got an O'Reilly's, you're pretty good.
But I mean, the better O'Reilly's is about 20 miles away. But
Well, yeah, but at that point, like with me, I don't know if you've got one set up or not, but I've got a commercial account with O'Reilly's.
No, not yet.
And my store that's closest to me is small, and they don't have a lot of stuff. But because I got a commercial account, they'll send a driver to go get it and go get it from the bigger store and bring it to me.
Yeah.
So, and you don't have to have a business or a tax number or nothing to have an account with them. You just go in and tell them you want one, set it up.
Yeah.
Like,
I need to do that.
I don't have you can put a credit card on file or whatever, so you can just call them and they charge them to it. I don't do that. I normally just tell them, it's 1730, I've got a 20, bring change for a 20, and they just bring it and I pay them cash out when they bring it to me. But if you got a commercial account, they'll deliver to you. Or if you don't have a commercial account, they won't deliver to you.
Oh, I think I forgot to mention it. Full exhaust.
You told me full exhaust, the gear vendor, the sniper.
Headers, Headers, full exhaust.
Gauge cluster.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be, I mean, if we could get everybody staged right and kind of in their...
Is he buying an exhaust kit or?
It is a kind of a universal, I think what he said, an X-pipe kit.
So it's going to be a mess and not fit.
Well, probably not, but I've built plenty of exhausts, and I think he said it's 2.5-inch pipe, and I've got about 4, 8, 12, about 16 foot of 2.5-inch pipe, like straight pipe. And, if we got some bends, if we need to find some bends, I could, maybe have some extra bends on hand or something, but, I'm the king of cobble.
Well, worst case scenario, you slap some turn downs in front of the rear end,
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's the thing is, and he's with the understanding of it may just be a get it done. It may not be completely right, but get it done and drivable. And with your idea of, and I'm going to try to talk him into it, just leave the truck down here, not stress out about, if he can manage a way to get another vehicle down here to where he could drive that back and just have his truck stay down here.
I mean, if he's got a trailer, even if he rents a U-Haul, there's got to be a U-Haul place fairly close to you to drop a trailer back off.
Oh yeah, there's one in town.
U-Haul trailer rental for a day can't be more than $20-$30. Worst case.
Yeah, because I think he said he's got a little car.
Yeah, because I mean, as much property as you got, if he has a trailer, he could leave the truck and trailer at your place.
Oh yeah. We've got enough parking for everybody to show up. We've got enough space. I mean, there's a hotel within 4 miles of my house. It's not the sketchiest one. It's not the best one, but I wouldn't mind putting people up in it. And we've got plenty of room if people want to just bring a tent, pitch a tent. We're gonna look into getting a porta potty. My wife would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But things like that we got to really take into consideration. But I think we can make it work and actually make everybody involved that's got a YouTube channel can make some good content out of it.
Yeah.
And because this isn't just about my channel making content, it's about everybody involved. Bring your cameras and bring your tools. Let's get this project done and make some content and collaborate and hopefully build this community.
Well, Brad's a go-getter. I'd never heard of him or his company before the truck gathering. And
I heard about it from the last truck show in Springfield.
Yeah.
And I was interested in getting in contact with his company, even though his products were way above what my trucks are worth having his products on.
Shit, some of his door handles cost more than my trucks did.
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing is, I got to talking to him at the truck gathering, and it's like it seemed to work. Those high end products on this type of truck, it just seemed kind of work. It's just if they make my truck look good, or if they look good on my truck, they'll really look good on a nice truck. That's got nice paint job and all one color at least.
I just mean he's a go getter. Like I ain't never really heard of him before, and he's kind of coming into the truck world like Bruce Lee. I mean,
yeah, he's coming out swinging, and yeah, I think this is gonna work. We're gonna make it work one way or the other.
Yeah,
and it's way out of my comfort zone, that's for sure, because I'm like you. I'm kind of a lone ranger. I like to have my solitude. I like to have, just me and my shop and do my thing. But we'll make this happen. And like I said, you're more welcome if you can make it happen on your end. Things come up and help out.
That kind of project's right up my alley because I'm always down to the last minute, have to get it done.
Well, and
I don't do it on purpose, but that's just the way it works out.
that's the way I am. And my line of work that I do, my day job, it's a multi-million-dollar a day company a day. And when that line is shut down because a machine is broke down and I've got to fix the machine to get cans running again, that multi-million-dollar company is waiting on me to figure out how to fix the machine and get it going.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of my normal day to day.
And they want you to do whatever it's going to take to get it going again. They don't care if it's duct tape and baling wire, or there ain't no such thing as it's going to be down for 2 days while we wait for a part to come in.
No. And that's it. And that's the way I've always been. If I'm out in the field cutting hay, baler breaks down, tractor breaks down, I'm, got to figure out what to make it, get something to work to get us by. And it may not be right, but it works. We could do the right way later, possibly. I always like to do the right way the first time because it just makes everything better. But if you're on a time crunch, there's a time and a place for everything. I built a 100-pound drive shaft just to make a burnout contest.
Yeah.
And just to have some fun. And that's just how it is. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for everybody involved to get some content and make new friends and just build our YouTube community, the smaller channels.
Yeah.
We're not going to be Cletus McFarland's. We're not going to be, Vice Grip Garage. Not trying to name drop anybody, but
yeah. Well,
those are big channels.
And there's strength in numbers, so to speak. I mean,
there is, and that's
if we all help each other out, we'll all grow faster.
And that's why. And one last little note before we need to get off here.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a question, but
no, I don't think he's making any OBS parts yet, but he's dabbing and everything, kind of.
He's trying to come up with more and more products as much as he can. He's wanting to grow, so he'd be go to benco.com, I think it is, and send him a message. It's Benco on Facebook. Find him on Facebook.
BNCO.
Yeah, BNCO. Find him on Facebook. Hit him up with a product that you're really interested in, and he might be able to make it happen. Oh crap! Lost my train of thought. Oh, for you specifically, Aaron, as far as the YouTube thing goes, and kind of growing the community stuff, that No Name Nationals event in Sikeston, Missouri. I'll send you the link and stuff to that. You might seriously think about trying to get in on that too, because it's gonna be close. It's at the end of towards the end of September. And I know how things are. Funds are a big deal.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money to make the trip, you don't have the money to make the trip, and that's just
Right.
that's real life.
Well, if I had the money to get my bus done, it'd make things a lot easier because I could sleep in the bus and I wouldn't need a hotel or nothing.
But
that's the whole plan. I haven't really talked about it much, but I've got a 32-foot school bus.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut it off right in front of the rear axle so I can put a gooseneck hitch on it.
There you go.
I'm going to turn it into a toter home so I can tow an enclosed trailer with it and have some. I just need a mattress and a bathroom.
Yeah.
Not even a bathroom, a mattress and a shower, really, because I can't go to sleep at night without taking a shower. But
yeah. So that No Name Nationals event, you probably should look into that because it's a YouTube thing. You already fit the criteria. It's got to have at least 500 subscribers, so you're good there. And that's pretty much all the other people that's involved with this Big Booty Judy thing, and a lot of the other channels that I'm involved with personally are the No Name National family. It's just we got to know each other through that event, and it's really geared to help smaller channels. Yeah. And I'm one of the bigger channels in that group, but I don't. It's just a number to me. I'm still just another guy like you are. It's just a community. It's people getting together that have the same thing going on, and we can all help each other out to build a community. It's a YouTube community, like you said, strength in numbers. So with that, let's see. Auto Salvage Outlaws, buddy, you are coming in on the very tail end of this. We are actually getting ready to sign off. So, yeah. Anything else?
I just went to my studio to check my subscribers.
Uh-huh.
And I lost one since the live feed started.
I'm sorry.
No. I'm sure. Do you pay really close attention to your subscriber count?
Nope.
YouTube takes people away.
I've kind of thought that. I mean, I look at it daily.
Supposedly, what it is they've got a computer that's searching all the time for like spam accounts or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And if they think you're a spam account, they pull you off. But my thing is, I don't give a crap if they're a spam account or not. I want the numbers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, numbers. In some ways, numbers is numbers. Winning is winning.
I bet you I'd have 500 more subscribers if I got back all the ones that have dropped off after I've gotten them.
Yeah.
So.
And I've found, these lives, they're a great way to actually engage with people live. And they get to see me in a live situation. I'm not, in front of the camera by myself, either doing a how-to or just working on my truck. This is me live. I'm forgetful. I stutter, and that has nothing to do with the Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
That's just who I am.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to kind of engage with people personally.
Yeah.
And I haven't really seen that it's like a big subscriber gain because of the lives or a big a view count because of the lives. But I don't care about that. I've invested my time in these lives just to engage with, even if it's, we got 7 people saying these 7 people still on here at 11:30 at night.
like we talked about earlier, you enjoy doing it,
I do.
and that's what matters. And if we made those 7 people's night, it was worth it. So.
Yeah.
All right, man, I gotta get in the shower and go to bed.
All right. Yeah, I got to get up and go to work. You've got stuff to do. Again, Aaron, I appreciate you coming on here, kind of short notice, and it's been
I appreciate you having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean we do this live. It's either on my channel or Perpetual Projects channel. We do this every Tuesday night at 7, and then the after hours at 8. You're more welcome to jump on here anytime. I mean the 7 o'clock show, it's more structured. If we have a guest, that's who we let in. But the after hours, if you want to jump in live on the after hours at 8 o'clock, just be in here and either me or Travis will be running it, and we'll see you pop in on the guest thing and let you in. So
yeah. All righty. Well, if you run into a situation where he can't do it again or something, you need somebody to hop in, let me know.
Oh, you bet. It's been great, man. You take care, and we'll talk to you later.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back next week at 7 o'clock for the Tailgate Talk. I think it's going to be on Perpetual Projects next week because they're heading to Colorado right now. They weren't going to be able to do it tonight on their channel. This would be normally their night to do it on their channel. But we had to change things up. But I think next week will be on their channel. Just stay tuned on my channel or their channel. If you're not already subscribed, hit that guy up over there. Hit his subscribe button. Hit my subscribe button. We'll talk to you later, guys. It's been a great night. Thank you.
Have a good one.